Oh God. I don't hear the speaking there. Oh God.
Five, four, three, two.
Are you guys ready up there? Okay, just give me a second. All right. All right, quiet on the set.
Ow! Peace and blessings of the Most High, the balance, omniverses, multiverses, tri-verses, dual verses, the universes be upon you all. And earshot and eye shot of the God. It's your friendly neighborhood Pharaoh Rise and Chef C's Dwamu Tefa Moon. And welcome to another episode of Revision Radio, where we seek and analyze right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding, right thinking, right reasoning, and right action from the third eye point of view. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Everybody that just left, get back on your seats, family. Get back on your seats. Okay, you know we got a heavy one. We got a heavy hitter about to drop. We got the Grand SHEIK, TARIK Bey, on his way. You know what I'm saying? About to drop us some knowledge, wisdom, understanding. You know, break it down to us, give us this dealing with the Moorish nation, the Moorish law, natural law. We're going to ask questions about the corporate fictions. Listen, I want y'all to know you got to get your pens and paper for this. This is a Black Laws Dictionary situation. This is one of them things, you know what I'm saying? So let's get some clarification. Everybody get involved to evolve or dissolve. You understand me? Yeah, everybody like, share, get it out there. Come on in. Let me see. So, yeah, that was a beautiful interview with the brother, Mr. G. Mr. G, again, I apologize for being disconnected, but I don't know what happened. Everything just froze on us. So, without further ado, it sounds like our guest is here. Yes, our guest is here, beloved brother. Are you ready, Grand SHEIK? Okay. Islam, we here. Hey, how you doing, God? Peace and blessings of the Most High, the balance, omniverses be upon you. Always a pleasure, God. It's happening with you, Grand SHEIK.
Busy, you know.
I know, God.
Let me tell you about that before we get started. Let me tell you about that food, man.
Here we go, y'all. Here we go about the food. Me and my wife again, y'all. Here we go. Talk to us.
Beyond slamming.
Oh, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you. We appreciate it. Listen, I mean, you know, we gave y'all plates before anybody ate. We wanted everybody to look at y'all in the front of the space and see y'all face. You know? Nah.
Excellent.
It was done with love. It was done with love.
That right.
Yeah, it was done with love. And we wanted people to feel that. And when I see you was in there like, this is criminal.
Yeah, it was serious, man.
He said, this is criminal. I said, yeah, it's real. You know,
that's good.
Thank you, brother. And that was they had an event. Dr. G and the Grand SHEIK TARIK Bey, they had an event at the House of Reawakening Minds. And my wife and I, we actually catered the event. And the menu was the wild rice, the black beans. Oh my goodness!
That's why you had to go get some more.
I had to go get some more. They had my wife back down in the corner. Well, we not letting you go till he get back, okay? and we had some fish. We had some sway, and that kale salad. And then the drinks. We had the drinks, man. The
it was all that.
Ah, man. Oh yeah. The wife, she looking forward to cook again. So, you know, whenever y'all ready.
Yeah. Now, in between you all doing catering, do you have any special days that like people can come get some food? Because I've been telling people.
Well, listen, all you got to do is give us call beforehand. We have it on a card, and you go to the website. You make contact, email, website, or phone, and we
All
can
right,
we put all that together.
gotcha.
Yeah, we like with the last interview, we just finished talking to Mr. G. Mr. G, who is Dr. Sabi's videographer and friend, who's working on the Nick Cannon documentary about Dr. Sabi,
Yeah.
and we seen him yesterday at the FDMG campus over there at Umar John, right down the block from Dr. G.
All
And
right.
we dropped off some food for him. We did some chickpeas though. We did some chickpeas with the man.
Yeah, that was a reward.
That well, you know what? You deserve it. We appreciate the hard work. You've been sojourning in this wilderness in North America, what I'm saying, for so long. A lot of our people, they've heard you like a myth and a legend, okay? Because I seen you on a video where one of the brothers was saying when there was no information circulating, or say, quote unquote, from the temples, all the information came through you. Concerning the Moorish subject matter, everything came through the Grand Sheikh TARIK Bey.
One of the things that Noble Ali always declared to all the Moors was that particularly anyone that got a verification of ministry on the certification, that hedges and the highways, take it to the people. That was always his position. And when you see that had not taken place, you got to go into the FBI papers, and then you look into the COINTELPRO operations that has happened to all of the movements, which is a standard of operations of infiltration. And so you see many of them start making whether it was in the Moorish Holy Temple of Science or Moorish Science Temple of America, into the Jewish Moorish movement, into the Temple of Islam, which became the Nation of Islam. Everybody suffered the same fate: infiltration.
Absolutely. I mean, that's that's the order of
that
the
goes
day.
with the territory. It goes with the territory.
That's right. Because we're in an occupied existence.
Situation.
That's right. We're in an occupied situation. So that's just our natural way of life. Like I said, people don't understand it. Freedom is just a concept, an ideal that we've never experienced in our lifetime. Because we've been born and raised in an occupied situation, everything controlled, everything watched, nothing, so it's just been an ideal and concept. But you've been on the front lines of this and clarifying the mission of the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, and for some time. But give people give people a breakdown of your origin, even, because I never hear people ask you about where you started. How did you start the journey? I just hear you always talking law and people asking questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, and well, actually, to make it short, my father was always a reader, right? And he wouldn't even go to the bathroom without a book.
Wow.
And so, at a very young age, I used to go like to the Salvation Army. Me and my brother would go junking. And I would go, instead of buying toys, I would buy books. And I always had this thing with books. I would always buy like old books, with this psychology that I was getting my stuff back for some reason. That's how I always looked at it. And even though many of the books in my library, because I started my library at 7.5, I had my own library, and one thing that I learned over the years by default was having old books and always being attracted to old books. What I discovered over the years was that your older books have most of the knowledge in it. And then you begin to comprehend why they get rid of old books. Tell you new edition, get the new ones, the old books that your grandmoms had, get rid of them. And all that stuff. As an example, let me give you some examples. Okay. Like I would always look for the oldest books. I always had this thing where I look for old books, old tattered books, where it was quite obvious. I had a whole set of books from what is known as the Old Bible Tract Society, with Charles Rutherford, a Mason, who set that up.
Yeah, that's the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that became Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, interesting enough, later, when I be around the age of 14, I went to the Kingdom Hall with my cousin Mark and cousinette. And it was interesting because while I'm listening, my mind is somewhere else because I have the whole background on. If you get the whole point.
Yeah. You know the origin.
Yeah, and the information, because one of the things that I recognize, a lot of what they were talking about in the old Bible Tract Society, in as far as the historical, factual research and exposure type information, it was in the order of how we speak now, totally contrary to what you see in these orders today.
Really?
In other words, today they would be considered radical.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I remember one of the books even talked about the operations of the United States undermining Japan with the because they would bring materials in from outside and produce things cheaply, and actually they were undermining them and sinking some of their ships. That's what really started the war with Japan. Not necessarily what you hear in the books today.
Well, we know they're not telling us real story. They're telling us what they want us to know to control, because they have to control the narrative. It's about controlling the psychology of the people.
It's called reconstruction.
Absolutely. And it's funny because not to cut you off, God, but like my show is called Revision Radio. Is based on revisionist history, because revisionist history is told from the point of view of those that were conquered. Those that were stolen from. So it's the real story outside of the narrative of the mainstream dominant society that are the invaders.
Yes. Then I also had a couple of older books on the Spanish Inquisition, and also one was a very rare book that I actually loaned out and never got back, and this was where they were taking over the strongholds of Al-Andalusia, and which later became known as Spain. And also when they like a lot of people, like today they talk about the ghetto, and they always associate the ghetto with our people here.
Sure, yes.
Our people don't know that the ghetto was really the Yetta, and the Yetta was the wealthy areas of the Moors in Iberia, which is now known as Europe.
Wow.
Where there are original people there too, the Picts, the Dubs, and the Moors.
Wow.
So that's why when you do research, even into Iberia and European history, all of the old coats of arms are Moors. And most of our people, when they look at Europe, they keep thinking about the Paleolith or the hybrid Europeans that are common today. And they forgot that most of the Aboriginal Moors were genocided out. And so when they talk about Europe, they think they're talking about the hybrid Europeans, and they're really talking still about North Africa. Our concepts of how we look at ourselves are absolutely incorrect.
That's a fact. I mean, yeah, that's unquestionable for anybody that's looking into the situation. That's a fact.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because when you when you do have an actual scholarly background and research, even a lot of Europeans, when you talk to them, they'll admit it. They don't deny it. They just don't talk openly. But when they see they don't necessarily try to hide it.
That's a fact. That's real. So when did you get exposed to the nationality aspect as far as the Moorish Science Temple, those teachings?
All right. Basically, I had some old notes because I used to also go to Washington, D.C., and I would go into the house journals. It was before they had internet. I would go every year, and I'd go into the house journals and congressional records and dig stuff up. Also, in Philadelphia, I knew about Winona, and I knew about Tammany. I knew about that history, etc. And a lot of the little keys were actually there. So after a while, it became quite obvious that when they were talking about Indians, they were actually talking about the Moors ourselves. Matter of fact, they didn't start calling us Indians to the north. They started calling us Indians to the south, actually with the Carib Moors, with the Taino, Arawak tribes, etc., which you know now today as Boricain,
Yeah.
and
We call
the
Puerto Ricans.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Boricain,
yeah.
because they're not Puerto Ricans either. When you
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
to a lot of the brothers down there, when you start talking the real history, they'll tell you they know they're not Puerto Rican too. You know, but they, just like a lot of people do, people go along to get along, not to be oppressed. Because when you start telling the truth, people start doing things to you. If you get the whole point. But when you talk, just like you see a lot of the Dravids from Sinde, etc. When you know about the actual history of the Berber tribes coming from North Africa, going up into upper parts of Asia, and you know that Sinde is still a part of Africa. You
That's
know,
right.
and once you tell them that you know that they're Hindustani, you know there ain't no such thing as Indian, they'll tell you we know too. But you know, it's what
Be it the mainstream
yeah.
ideology, we gotta just fall in line with it.
But because some of the Naga and Dravids came here also, thousands of years ago before the war, before the great earthquake. So when they had the great super severe during the periods of the ancient Moabite empire ruled actually from Central America. And so you see Aunt Hagar that's buried in the corner of the Kaaba in Mecca. She ruled South America. You know, so and a lot of that history is known by the Aboriginal people, but they don't. A lot of them don't talk to us because we are up here pretty much prejudiced against our own selves and against our own blood. And most of the people here, unfortunately, look at the other Asiatics and Africans as not being their own family. And so those discussions don't take place with us. But when they know that you know the history, they'll start telling you a lot of the history that's here. You know, and even from the position that our people didn't know that the oldest pyramids are actually on this side. And the largest pyramid was actually in Mexico City. That the hybrid Europeans took down and actually built cities with to bury the African history.
It's their nature, is what they always been doing.
Yeah,
Like we call them the hybrid because we know that they were procreated from experimentation.
Yeah,
a hodgepodge of different genes and genetic experimentation.
That's where they get the name Caucasus from, and that's actually from Yaku's middle name. You know, and the matter of fact, the genetic technology took place in Yucatan, but the more direct experiments took place in Patagonia, which is later called Argentina. This is why you see a lot of the hybrid Europeans when Hitler was countering a lot of the operations of people who were claiming to be something that they're not, because they're not the real Saba. We're real Saba.
Okay, absolutely we are. That's right.
Yeah, and Jew was made up to cover up Saba. Saba is us and the culture. That's where you get the word Sabbath from. So when they say you're keeping the Sabbath, they're really talking about the ancient Sabian Moors.
That's right.
The foundation of civilization, truthfully.
Of all the sciences that they've been hiding throughout worldwide between the European Shriners and all the other quote unquote religious leaders.
Yeah, that's why all of them, even among the Asiatics, all of them in their chambers wear the Moorish fez. That's why all of your lodges have Moorish names. And one of the oaths of the Knights of Columbus and the Ku Klux Klan was to see that the Moors never rise again. That's one of the major motives as to why the Moors here at North America are treated the worst. And so our people have been trained to call it racism and prejudice when it's really Inquisition operations. Because we are actually the most direct descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Moabites. And
absolutely.
That's where so much hatred comes from. And this is also why the hybrid Europeans who stole our history, and once they ran us out of Al-Andalus, that's why they do the rituals in South America every year, and also up here where the hybrid Europeans they do the dance or the dance of mockery, and that's called the Mummers Parade, and that's why they assemble at 6th and Moore Street at Philadelphia traditionally, and then they would put charcoal on their face and go west. Young man, that's Horace Greeley, the New York newspaper tycoon that came into the Whiggamore Party in 1853, 4 in that era of time.
Whiggamores.
Yeah, that's what the Whiggamores are. And this is why you see even the hybrid Europeans to this day in all judicial quarters and in all judicial courts, they will wear a curly wig imitating the Moors. That's why they call them Whig or Moors.
You know what? Unfortunately, I was kidnapped and warehoused for some time, right? And during one of my I was doing a program run. We were sitting there waiting to be escorted back to the domicile, the living area, and one of the police, one of the hybrids, the Albions, he came by. He was like, Tamil, he was like, yeah, Assalamu alaikum, right? The guy turned around. He said, oh, wa alaikum salam, and they greet each other. He was like, oh, so we standing, we like in a cut, so they don't see us, and then they like, he said, so you coming to the lodge tonight? And he's like, yeah, you know, these are these are European, these are Caucasians. I'm sitting there like, wow, and it's Juma Friday. It's Juma Friday, so you got a hallway full of Muslims, the NOIs out there, Nation of Guards, the Orthodox Sunni Muslims. Yeah. Everybody's standing, and me and my brother sitting there like, wow, these niggas really they really on it like that.
Yeah, and it's not that, you know, the really interesting thing, Brother Pharaoh, is how many of our people, except when you get into what you call adept chambers. When you get into adept chambers, and then you get amongst, because I also later, you know, became assistant minister in the Nation of Islam too.
So you was a part of the Nation of Islam. That's what I'm saying. Like, we trying to get the origins of you, God, because you know, we all are a combination of all our past experiences.
Yeah, you know? I've been around, brother. Muhammad Ali sat and eat at my table in my home the way I ate your food at the spot.
Oh, love it. That's official.
But let me say this to you. One of the things I learned early, at first it was disappointing to me when I didn't really, you know, have real clear understanding of it. Because I myself, I didn't go into any movement dumb, if you get the whole point. I was already from childhood a scholar by default, not by intention, by default. That's only because, like I said, my father always read. So I always found myself clashing, if you get the point, because I had research knowledge. I didn't go by emotional follower mentality. Not that I didn't respect or not that I didn't appreciate. You know, I never moved based on emotion or that submissive follower mentality. I never did. I always operated from the perspective, what can I do really, truthfully, to help liberate our people? And one of the things I discovered is that a lot of things we talk about even today, a lot of people in positions of authority and power that we've respected also had that knowledge. But when they come before the believers, they have what you call a program doctrine. And this is one of the reasons why I even left the nation when I found out, because I already knew from research, from documentation, that the Temple of Allah was a breakoff from the Moorish movement under infiltration from J. Edgar Hoover, if you get the whole point. And that stuff is documented. You know, it has nothing to do with beliefs, has to do with documentation.
That's a whole show.
Yeah. And this is why you see a lot of times when you get into the real documentation, not emotions, you'll see people start competing with who's did who did this first, and all that kind of stuff. And it's more or less people emotionally trying to protect images, but not necessarily doing actual research. And I found that over the period of years to be a pattern with us, and also a dangerous pattern, unfortunately. Because what I find is that many of our people usually go into different organizations, just like when some of our brothers get kidnapped, as an example, and they go into one of the POW camps of the private POW camps for human trafficking, right? And they'll call it prisons, and when they're actually POW camps, and the deal of it is you'll see how people will club up and then start doing things to counter the quote unquote what they call the system. And this is how a lot of our people get back to Saba. They'll call it Judaism or root or Hebrew. They'll say it like that, but that's really Saba, right? Or Islam, trying to get back relative to rejecting the false and the colorable political jurisdiction that we all have been captured in, if you get the whole point.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what you find is that a lot of our people will get their knowledge by a club association. And then you find only a handful actually do scholarly research.
That's true.
And then what happens is I recognize over the years that this what has caused a lot of schisms with a lot of us, where you have different versions of Islam, different versions of Hebrews, and all this stuff. And our people are divided. Half of them are dealing with it from an emotional, pat us on the back about the great things we did perspective, rather than really do research and recognize that in reality, we actually lost power in the early to the mid 1800s, not actually earlier. And they'll go into the 1555 good shit Jesus type thing, the great African diaspora and stuff. And once you start doing real research, you'll find out that most of that information is fictional, and that we were actually just overthrown.
That's heavy.
And again, when you start talking to some hybrid, odd fellows, which are all Europeans, Knights of Columbus, and Kaiklos, or what is known as Ku Klux Klan, they don't deny that. They just don't teach it.
That's a fact. They're not supposed to.
That's essentially, that is part of the body of knowledge that is known as the Great Masonic Secret. It's our people. And our people think it's some kind of secret devil club that ain't got nothing to do with us. And we're the secret.
No, we are the best kept secret. So, I'm glad that you brought that up, because in this let's say genre, in this category of those freedom fighters, brothers that's dealing with nationality, dealing with the Moorish doctrine, you have been one of the most long-standing teachers, but at the same time, you've been considered the most unorthodox.
Of course, because now and I'll recognize that. Now let me give you some more background to give you an idea where I'm coming from.
Yes, please.
Like for instance, Muhammad Ali and myself, we were friends. He ate at my house. I got, held my son on the porch taking pictures. When my son Hannibal, Dr. Hannibal, was a baby, right? Joe Tex, the singer, ate at my house. Sterling, I knew all, a lot of them. At that time, I was younger, and I kind of knew, like when you're in the minister circle, you already know that there's more than one level of learning. As an example, like in the nation, when you get the actual facts, etc., and then one of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would always say in relationship to the adept knowledge, he would say, after the supreme wisdom, and you studied, he said the supreme wisdom will be handed to you later. Well, I always took that because I approach things from an investigatory position I always have. So I was always curious to me, what is the supreme wisdom that's to be handed to us later? And then I used to go down to Washington D.C., go into congressional records, and I found out he was an adept in the Moorish Temple of Science.
He was.
You know, and then I began to recognize the supreme wisdom was the true identity of our people, which was one of the reasons why you always got the X.
Because it was unknown during that.
It wasn't known. No, it was not known to you. It was not given to you. Like, say, for instance, like if you did some extraordinary things, when I say some extraordinary things that are charitable to the people, or you become very influential, then they would give you a holy name. Then you would have a full name like Muhammad Ali, as an example. As an example. You get the whole point?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And also I went to a show, I think was in either Baltimore, I think it was Baltimore, a show that Joe Tex was doing, because he was a singer. And
I heard you was a singer.
Well, yeah, I have
did some musician stuff, some jazz stuff. I've been digging in the crates. I heard you do some things, beloved.
Yeah, I have some friends. Yeah. I know Kenny Gamble and all them. I was as a matter of fact, I was starting to sing. I used the Ebonies, if you remember them, all those were close friends of mine, and I did a lot of work in studios and stuff. But I had stopped because I didn't want my wife to be insecure. With things that was going on that I saw. So I stopped.
I was there.
And as a matter of fact, when I first started singing, I remember I was singing with Sonny Miller's band. And because I was younger, they took me in the back of the Masonic Hall down on Kane Avenue. And we used to go to Pennsville, New Jersey, and pick up Teddy. Teddy Pendergrass was a drummer then. And he would drum for us. Wow. Then he would drum for Harold and them.
Okay. Oh yeah, Blue Notes. That's right.
Yeah.
Blue Notes. That's right.
Oh yeah. So I know a few people.
I was in a recording studio and talking to the producer, and I was telling him, I was like, I'm setting up. That was before the event, and I said, my wife and I were going to an event with the Grand Sheik TARIK Band, XYZ, Dr. G, and he was like, his father used to play in a jazz band. He said you were a part of a lot of music back, and he said a lot of people don't know that you have a rich music history. And I was like, wow. And I said, I'm using that. I'm gonna let them know.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, every once in a while, because I don't have any breaks, so I go to karaoke every once in a while with friends and just have fun. And that's
really that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But anyway, back to point. I want to finish that so you have a quick background.
Okay.
Also, after I got married, I got married actually my high school girlfriend, my wife, right? It's Hannibal's mother, and at that time they were drafting, and so I got drafted, and went to service, and they were saying, you could bring your wife and all this stuff. Anyway, lies, you know how they do. And I remember they was taking finance that you were supposed to be sending home, and they was actually stealing it from the brothers and the Puerto Ricans.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and really messed my whole life up, man.
Wow. So the money that you trying to send home, the fiat you trying to send home, they
actually. I didn't have any vices or anything, so I was sending everything home. And
so you sending everything home for the family, and it's everything. Never making it.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. Anyway, they had the nerve to send me to the Red Cross to so-called get a loan. They had no idea. And plus I was an expert with weapons.
Okay.
And while they were messing with me, I was plotting on other things.
Absolutely.
With them.
Absolutely.
So that lasted a year. I was getting in fights every weekend. They come to me with that nigger stuff. I was only 135 pounds then. But let me tell you, they had no idea they turned me into Frankenstein. While they were planning, and as a matter of fact, I didn't find out till later that they was actually training me for special forces because I was so intelligent and also good with weapons, but they never told me that. And this is why I kept getting in Article 29s, because I was getting in fights weekly. Them hybrids mess with me, they was on the floor, and I'd go sit down like nothing happened. And you know how because in the Army, if you injure or even damage military property, you automatically in the brig. I never got sent to the brig. I just kept getting Article 29s, right? But anyway, to be honest with you, that anger that I got in there never left me. And one of the things, and the only reason I didn't become a professional assassin, and it wasn't for the sake of some enemies, is for them. While they think in one way, I'm thinking another way. When I came out, I converted that anger into what I do to this very day. That's the basis of my passion.
That's official. That's the drive. That's
got it.
Yeah. That's official. I appreciate that. I know a lot of people that attribute their beginnings, whether they're with you now or not, they attribute their beginnings into the reality of nationalization and just the Moorish doctrine becoming, separate, from this system. They attribute it to you and learning from. Listen, I listen to a lot of your videos, and I'm telling you, it's like I said, I did a bid, and I was in the law library. As we back in the law library, we dealing with that Black's Law Dictionary is on fire. It's lit. Let's go. You walking people through that, and that's a whole nother language, a whole nother doctrine that we got to become familiar with.
Now Now keep in mind, and many of our listeners need to know this. They have what you call an international convention on education. This is where heads of nations come together and plan education systems that are operative in most nation states, particularly in the Western states. And a lot of people don't know this. Because the concept that our people have is that a lot of the abuses and miseducation that's practiced against us at North America, they think is distinct, not knowing that most of the political jurisdictions in the Western Hemisphere are actually networked together and are actually run from a small group of people, group of people that claim to be a certain religion that actually control the media. And the concept that our people have is that these are different political jurisdictions, and in fact, they're actually not. As an example, Canada and the United States Corporation have the same international number, operating from the Circle Church and the Chancery on Fleet Street, England, under the Queen, who answer to the bishopric of the Jesuit order to the popes of Rome. And the corporation, United States Corporation, registered in Austria, and our people think it's a country. This is a lot of the fundamental problems that are prevalent with our people when you try to share with our people that come from different walks of life, and they're operating from a belief perspective rather than a research perspective. And they think that they look for their sovereign liberties within their religious positions, not in their pedigree or bloodline positions. And this has been one of our greatest injuries.
Yeah, we don't know how to separate, switch the pivot, and deal with things on separate fronts.
Well, it's not that is because our people have never been, not that they never have been, but because they've been separated from positive law jurisprudence and the international principle issued of status in the states. They keep looking at themselves from the training that comes from the Knights of Columbus and Ku Klux Klan under the Christian black codes. And they keep thinking that they're black people.
Yeah, definitely.
Rather than recognizing or even doing research, understanding that comes from Middle English, from Old High German, that actually means pale colors and white spot. They think it means ebony, and they think it's African. And it's actually a code that was set up in the 1800s to distinguish defeated Moors from free Moors. This is when you find a lot of this information when you go into the Dungy case of like 1854, 1853, just before the Dred Scott case, which is the most important slave case of 1857. And then you start finding that stuff in the records, and our people today be calling themselves black, and be in the 1800s they was Moors. And,
Yeah.
you know, but the issue is that our people have been trained by people who are set among us. They would talk about brands and branding, you know, with the nomenclature,
Yeah,
or
that's
the
right. The
names
titles and names. That's
that were
right.
tagged on us, but they wouldn't tell our people the truth, that it was to the legal position, and that it makes such persons in law automatically wards of the state, and it also makes them non-descendable. And that is one of the most important subject matters that many of our so-called leaders know about, but won't go there.
Cuts us
Because
off from the root.
no, because it'll take that finance out their pocket. Once the people begin to recognize that these principles are universal. You know, a lot of times, some of the principles that Drew Ali presented to the people will look at it from the perspective that, you know, it's a one of the earliest Islamic sects to reactivate Islam in the Western Hemisphere, which is true. However, that's the perspective the people have. They don't have the perspective of it had to do with international law operations that were actually going on with the restoration of the birthright and estates of these people. And they keep looking at it, and many people who are conscious keep promoting it as a religion. And it's a birthright restoration issue. The religion is secondary. And this is where you have a lot of confusion with people who keep looking at it from that perspective, because that's how we've been trained. Almost everything relative to the Asiatics of North America, whenever we sought to challenge the jurisdiction of the hybrid Europeans, we always think, oh, I got to go back to being a Jew. I got to go back to being a Muslim or Muslim. And that's the concept. And while that is indeed part of the history and culture, all of that stuff is ours. We weren't just Muslim. We weren't just, we were Ibri, and a lot of our people who don't know the real history think that Ibri is a religion or people, when Ibri is what we did. When they did the great Superdivere, where you see in the Septuaginta, you read in the Septuaginta, Torah, etc., which later becomes the Bible, and it talks about the dividing of the land between Ham and Cush. That great Superdivere of the movement of the Cushites, which is us, right? When we crossed the great water of Atlantis before it became an ocean, that was even before the great cocoa plate shift. You know, remember when the cocoa plate shift right in the Yucatan, and then you had the Great Divide, and the Great River became an ocean. Those of us who crossed the river at that time are called those who crossed over, which is the Ibri.
Yeah,
that's where
that's right.
Ibri, and this is where the misconception of Hebrew has its origin, which is a fiction. And so you know, we be thinking that that's a separate people, and it's no different than me coming, say, from Shakamoxan territory that we call now Philadelphia, and crossing the river or something like that, you know, and coming to another area, and then they think we're different people. We're the same people, you know. And so what you have is that they've used our desires for liberation to actually create a schism operation among us, and our people don't know that that was actually a schism operation set up by the FBI and the CIA among us. This is why when you see our people trying to liberate, they be looking at each other. Oh, I'm Hebrew. Oh, I'm Muslim. Oh, I'm Muslim.
Yeah,
you know, I'm Coptic Christian, and that was planned. We're all of that stuff is ours.
Absolutely,
not one, all of it. You know, and what I discovered over the years is that that's known by a lot of our so-called leaders, but they won't go there because it will spoil their platforms.
Yes.
Because many of the so-called liberating so-called movements really have been set up mainly by some of them, many of them being 32 and 33-degree Masons,
Not to make
who
sense.
condemn it publicly, and in secret got one of the titles, whether it's in Islam or whether it's in Judaism or Hebrew, and pretending that our people are black, knowing that they're Moors, ancient Canaanites, Moabites, knowing that we're standing on our own land. That was one of the rude lessons that was taught to Il Malik when he made the Hajj, and he went among some of the French Muslims, and that French Muslim, blue-eyed French Muslim that he was calling the devil, told him that, brother, don't come over here with that black and white language. That's slave language. Said many Europeans know more Islam than you'll ever know. To you, Maghreb is evening salat. Maghreb is North America, Morocco, the most extreme west. You need to study, brother. You left home. That was one of the rude things that those in the ministry know about Malcolm, but they never talk about it publicly. Never. They'll talk about, them burning his house and all that other stuff, and him saying some things that Wallace said, because Wallace was the first one that started talking about, the Lamb's children with them secretaries. It wasn't Bill Malik, Wallace. And of course, later he left too. So did Charles.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we know when the nation of Islam, you mentioned earlier, one of the situations I said this, I have the debate and conversation with a lot of the brothers, that Elijah never finished teaching. We know that.
He was infiltrated, and a lot of times when he went to Arizona, they were talking about, because he has respiratory issues. No, the real deal is that the nation was infiltrated. Anyway, from the door, but meaning that it was becoming more pronounced.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book, the Black Angels?
Yeah.
By Thomas Hobbes, I think his name is. Yeah. That goes. A lot of people, the master teacher, he always mentions the Black Angels, because he said it breaks down the Black Shriners, the so-called Black Shriners that controlled the Nation of Islam from inside, and they was on a mission from Farad Muhammad, controlling.
And also the Ford family.
The Ford family, okay.
Yes. That's a known fact, if you get the point. But anyway, so after I also, because I worked hard, because I used to do body work too, auto body work. I can cut two cars apart, put them back together, paint them, finish welding. You wouldn't know it was two cars. And plus, my father's a barber. I'm a barber. I can sew. I'm a tailor.
I seen that kitchen work you did as far as carpentry. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
That was phenomenal.
That's what I used to do as a contractor, until I just stop doing it, and I do personal work for people. But that's what I used to do professionally too.
I was telling we told Dr. G we're gonna go over there and do some live demonstrations about putting these sea mosses and these teas together.
Have you come over there and do some cooking on that stove?
Yeah, we gonna. She said she don't even know how to work it yet. We got to get the instructions.
Yeah, it's cool. You touch the stove and blue lights come on.
Oh man, they got a spaceship over there. Yeah.
Anyway,
so what's the difference? So you got, because I seen a brother, and it was like basically they try to say like the thing is, the frustration how brothers approach you in their teachings is that two things. One, it says that you go outside of the teachings of the Moorish Science Temple, right?
Of course I do.
That's the first thing. Second thing, I want you to identify what branch.
Let me tell you what's up. Let me tell you what's up.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
See, number one, when I came into the Nation of Islam, right?
Yes.
I came in knowing things. I didn't come in
as a believer.
Follower. And I think a lot of people are, unfortunately, and I'm not disrespecting anybody. You understand where I come from? But I'm used to reading from the age of 6. I have my own library, bookcases with books, age of 6, and I built my bookcase, 7.5. You understand? So when I come into organizations, I didn't come in as a dummy. So I came in with knowledge. I didn't come in ignorant looking for someone to lead me. I came to share, and I came to learn, and I came to do.
That's
I
right.
didn't come to, do a salami bologna type thing. And I think a lot of people, particularly, and I discovered this also when I was younger, are uncomfortable when you know things
Mm.
because they're speaking from their beliefs. I don't deal with beliefs. I never did. I
Mm.
deal with not. See, if you deal with knowledge, beliefs aren't necessary.
I agree. That's the
If
that's
you deal with
the
knowledge, biases are not necessary. It's not part of your energy.
That's right.
Do you understand?
I do. I do.
Even with your enemies, you're not biased. You,
So
you,
what's the difference then? Tell me, like, give
listen
the
to
people
me.
the difference
Let
in
me explain to
the
you.
doctrine that's coming from the Moorish
Let
Science
me
Temple.
let me explain to you.
And what do you represent? Like, what are you the Great Seal? Are you the Council? Like, give people the identification.
I am also the mirror of the Order of the Great Seal, and I was elected in like '92.
The
And I
Amir.
was, yeah, up in Land of Nod, Upper State New York, for Jersey area. But that's for me. It was just simply part of my travels.
Got you.
And a lot of what I did and a lot of what I do is not what I sought to do. It fell in my lap by virtue of me being a rebel. Because my spirit is a rebel spirit. In other words, like, this is my position. If someone who is my enemy gives me information and I research and find it to be true, I will adopt it.
Mm-hmm.
I do not lock myself into boxes. That's part of the problem of our people. Let's look at this, Brother Pharaoh. With all this attitude that many of our people have in their different so-called belief systems, the reason why we're not in unity, and the reason why, in spite of all the suffering, killings, lynchings, kidnappings, us being the predominant target for jailings, etc., why that's so successful is because we're divided, because most of our people keep going by beliefs.
That's right.
And when you bring facts to them, they start getting angry, thinking that you're attacking them when you're trying to lift them up.
Yes.
You're trying to bring competence into the area. Science and knowledge fixes things. Emotions and belief don't. It make you feel good. It's like a drug.
It is.
But
That's
it fixes nothing.
Mm.
And then you have to take the position. You come to a reality. This is the reality I came to. With the sadness and realities that I experienced, going into service, seeing my family destroyed by these people.
Yeah,
Thought they were going to use my intelligence to go kill some of my own brothers and sisters around the world when I was plotting on them. If you get the whole point.
Yeah, I'm with you.
This is the real deal. Earlier in my life, the things I love, I lost.
Mm.
I've had a lot of good things, in my life, women and everything. I have no regrets. But you know how, like, when you was just for me, I'm just speaking for myself. And I know with brothers, a lot of times brothers aren't as open as women are and won't admit their pain. You understand what I'm saying? We don't talk. Women talk. We don't talk. We hold a lot of things in because we want to play this masculine image.
Yeah. They cry at each other. Women cry at each other. We ain't crying at each other.
But you already know the reality is my dedication to my family that was broken can never and could never be restored, no matter what I did.
That's real.
And I found myself, like many of us do, spending years looking for that elusive butterfly of love. And even if it comes, you don't see it because your heart is already lost.
That's right. You caught up. I understand.
It was nothing that they could take from me. They already took it. Do you understand?
That's what set you on a mission. That's right. And no fear.
I can't be bought, and
right.
I ain't afraid. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
And I know the rules of death. I already know those rules. But guess what? These demons was plotting on using my intelligence to hurt other people, to keep them in power. And all the time, I'm plotting on them. And the real deal of it is, you know the feeling of not wanting to go to the grave because you feel though you owe your ancestors a war that you never fought?
Mm.
That's also part of my spirit.
Basically saying that you're not ready to go. We still in the midst of this. Let me do my job.
I'm getting them with my intelligence that they were going to use against my own people.
Facts.
And I wasn't the one.
Well, I'm gonna say I'm gonna share this, that not I don't know if I was as advanced as you. I know that as far as the test that they gave me in public school, I was reading at a college level in the 3rd grade. They knew that. And my interest though was to get my math level on the same place where my reading and comprehension was. And they kept it away from me all throughout school. They would keep math away from me because of my reading being so high. You know what I'm saying?
With you already know, he who knows the math knows the universe.
The math, language, music, computer, all of that falls in sequence with each other.
Yes.
You know, that once you crack that, that's it. Especially if you have the reason and the logical deduction capabilities, it's over. You know.
Yeah,
So.
and then and even this another thing same thing with me in school, because I actually quit school in the 10th grade.
Okay.
I couldn't take it anymore. Because it from a child, like when you're in school and to you they're talking to you like a baby.
Yeah.
And half the stuff they're telling you already know, and you could tell that they're really stagnating you.
Yes.
So I wanted to go to work, help my father. I didn't want to. I couldn't deal with it anymore. But the reality of it is that a lot of that energy of injury, I turned it into love for curing things, for fixing things. And back to the point what you talked about. Like when anybody that really studies Noble Drew Ali, one of the things that Noble Drew Ali always said that people need to pay attention to, and I noticed that a lot of people don't. He said, the half has not been told. The half has not been told. If I told you everything, you would go back to sleep. Yeah. Now, a lot of things, I was always in the state of mind of, just tell me about the other half. You ain't got to give it to me. I'll go find it. And this is where we clash, if you get the point. Mm-hmm. Because I was already not dumb. I was already in a pattern of research from childhood. This is what I do naturally. You understand? Not because I'm trying to prove a point. It's because of what I do. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
And so I found out the FBI papers, and I could understand why nobody was talking.
So are you confirming that the FBI papers are real? Because I've heard brothers debating that the FBI papers are not real.
Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Our people like to play this thug game and debate game. How many of them went down to the congressional records and got them papers themselves? I did. I did.
I'm with it. That's what type of stuff I'm
You understand?
Yeah.
I did research before the internet. You understand? I started passing out the original presidents of 30 years ago that many people are using now, and the original Article 13 of Amendment with 20 sections.
Absolutely.
That's why I've been telling people for years, George Washington was the 9th president of the United States. So logically, people who are groomed to thinking he was the first president are going to talk about, well, that's a difference of opinion. No, it's not a difference of opinion. Those are the facts.
It's a fact.
And you haven't been knowing it, and people around you who know it ain't talking. Now, that's an example, including you can go into congressional records and in the House journals and find history on American religions, and they have the documented history where the Temple of Allah came out of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which became the Nation of Islam. Daddy Grace knew the knowledge, Father Divine, Bishop Johnson, etc. All of them had the knowledge. It wasn't a secret in the sense that it was an unknown quantity or a body of information.
Mm-hmm.
It was suppressed information and what you would call cutthroat information,
Why you
meaning
say
that they kill
cutthroat?
you to talk. When you
They ain't want
really
nobody to talk. That's
try
right.
to liberate our people, you're walking on eggshells of death.
That's a fact. That's a
That's
fact.
a fact.
Yeah.
Now, the point that I'm making is logically, when you're doing research and doing cross reference, and then you come out and share that information, it clashes with people who operate by doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
Doctrine is like a cookie cutter mold. And what you find is many organizations, with both the leaders and the club members, they want everybody to come with this cookie cutter. Everybody walk down. Everybody got a purple suit on.
Yeah.
And
Conveyor
green,
belt. Conveyor
and
belt.
yeah,
That's right.
and say a green tie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
brown shoes. And when your laces ain't tied the way they are, that's SHEIK.
He said
You
that's shirt.
contrary. Oh, you outside the box. I was never.
He said that
See,
shirt.
my position was this, Brother Pharaoh. When you're trying to fix something or liberate people, you can't be in a box. You got to deal with facts. You got to be able to stick and move, just like if you're boxing. If somebody beating your ass, you better adjust very quickly.
You better adjust. That's right. And evolve. That's right.
And then somebody say, oh, now you want to put your hands up now. Put your hands back down. Take selfies. Yeah, so you can get 2 black eyes. And what I discovered after doing some research, I recognized that many of the so-called leaders were placed among us.
Facts.
They talk good game. They always are trained to start talking about racism and prejudice, racism and prejudice, racism and prejudice. Race is the species. Prejudice is an attitude. You can't get suit remedy in international court on that. That's attitude. You got to talk about restoration of a state and trespassing and breach of treaty and constitution. Now you got some power. And you can't do it on emotion. You got to do it with some knowledge.
Okay. I'm with that. I'm with all that. So now, boom. We here, y'all. Like, let me remind the people we here with the Grand Sheikh TARIK Bey. Please, they show your love and spread and share and tell the people to come in the audience, because the God been dropping jewels, bombs over Baghdad for decades.
Let me share with you, as a matter of fact, a note to the Secretary of State, 1906. Right? Let me just grab this for a second.
No problem. Yeah, family. Please like, share, tell the people.
This is one of my lesson books that I did on treaty and constitution.
Okay.
Now, many people.
Where can we find the book?
This is not out in mainstream because I wouldn't sell out. This is desktop copy. However, I'm putting it out with the original notes for our people. This is research documentation. This is not emotional. Do you understand?
I'm with you, God.
So when you're dealing with, like when people have experience and they write a novel perspective of history, which is often what's given to us, it makes us feel good, but it fixes nothing. It simply sacrifices the next generation.
That's a fact.
You got to.
Is that book on the flash drive?
No, this book is not on the flash drive.
All right.
Some of my notes are. But I'm going to read to you, as an example, a note to the Secretary of State. And these are things that are known by all scholars, but are not taught to our people. Right?
We here. We listening.
This is the Secretary of State in relationship to citizenship. And as you can see here, and this is what I did. If you can see here, you see this text right here down the bottom?
Yeah, move it over to the right a little. Well, to the left, the other way. Yeah, the other way. Yeah.
Now here, and this text that you see here, the reason why you see that's darker.
Whole screen. Yeah.
The reason why print is darker, because I already knew that we have what you call infiltrators among us and sellouts among us. That's actually photo of the documents from the Library of Congress. I didn't retype them. This is so that it can't be denied, because I already know what happens whenever you bring out stuff that nobody wants to talk about. So here's citizenship of the United States, expatriation, etc., page 459, chapter 5, temporary provisions. And guess what? There you go, brother. Excuse me. Here again. Morocco. United States is on Moroccan territories. Here you go. This their documents.
That's a fact. Listen, I don't.
Okay. Charge d'Affaires, 1906, August. American Legation, Tangier, August the 3rd, 1906. There are, strictly speaking, no Moroccan laws related to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. The fundamental laws of this non-Christian country are based entirely upon the Islamic code, no part of which treats of the subject of citizenship. However, and this is page 460, there are, however, numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries and the Moorish Empire, by means of which citizenship in this country is defined. But as I understand from the above acknowledged instructions, that it is not the desire of the department to call for a report on such lines, meaning the department didn't want this to be public in general.
That's right.
I will therefore confine these remarks to general conditions existing, which may possibly be of some use in connection with the information desired. Number one, citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection are considered ipso jure as Moorish subjects. That means if these people don't have any nationality cards to prove that they're citizens of any other country, ipso jure means as the law stands universally, they're Moors.
They automatically, they're categorized as Moors.
Because that's the bloodline. 2 and 3, Moorish subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized, not nationalized, naturalized in or protected by another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire. It was established by the Convention of Madrid, concluded July the 3rd, 1880. That's why they're called black, because they've been denationalized. And everybody keep talking about the straw man. That's where the black codes come in. When the Moors start being called blacks and Negroes, that take them out of birthright. Nationalization that Drew Ali set up is the converse or the counter to that, to reestablish the established law of nations, because these people aren't black, colored, Negro, they are Moors. And without their pedigree bloodline, they have no heritability. So any other effort made by us is a waste of time and a sacrifice. And all people know it and keep pretending they don't understand what Noble Drew Ali did, as if he's talking about some belief systems. He's talking law.
I got that. That's heavy. What page is that you just read inside the book?
Now, in my book, as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do when I see you again, not only the flash drive, I want you to look at the Dungy case of 1854.
Yeah.
That's on the flash drive.
Okay.
And you already probably know about the Dred Scott case, which is the most important slave case.
57, yeah.
And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let you hold this book until the new publishing comes out, and let you go.
You got a new copy coming out, a new version.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna give you other papers. I'm gonna give you fundamental papers on Chapter 1 of American law, law on government and sovereignty. and this is from text, that if our people went to get the books, it would cost them like $16,000. Everything that is
Damn, Amari.
of meaningful, they block from us. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
and so if you understand how I roll, and it's not me special, I'm not special. I always tell people, don't get captured with what images are. I'm just Taji guy with the cheap sneaks. I'm just doing what my mother sent me to do, just like everybody else doing what they're supposed to do. And even then, I'm not doing enough. However, what I refuse to do is, after research, cross-reference, and double research, and finding information that's buried, and then refusing to tell it because it goes against the club, I'm not that one.
So what about you got brothers like specifically like got the Moorish brother that got the Moorish World TV. Shout out to the brother TARIK Bay, and he'd come out and he'll say things like, you know, you doing nationality processes, and that's not a part of what the prophet was doing. And
all right, let's here we go.
Yeah, let's
not
go
nationality processes. Noble Drawley told us to take us to the hedges and the highways. I have certification as an adept and as a Grand Sheik from the Moorish Science Temple of America. So from that position, I'm qualified. Although this is my position, I recognize that Drew Ali brought this information to us over 113 years ago.
That's a fact.
I also know from research and also being experienced traveling the country that many of the people, unfortunately, in leadership are actually compromised. Don't mean that they're bad people in a sense, but they're compromised. They have no guts to deal with anything controversial. Are we clear?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to battle for our people at all. Are we clear?
That's right.
Our people are being abused. You will not see them enforce the Constitution. Act 1, the divine bylaws by the prophet for the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Moderator, chairman to put in power to make law and to enforce law if they live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known by the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. How many of them, when brothers have been taken unlawfully under color of law into prisons, how often have you seen them go and enforce Article 3, Section 2, Diversity Court of Diversity, and release their people? How many have you seen do that?
Well, I'm nobody. Because
now, but they mad because I've been doing it.
Have you been doing that?
I've done that for years, and I've been transferring that knowledge to others now. I chill back now, and I travel and I teach. But the deal of it is, these are fundamental established rules of law that they're put in place to enforce. They haven't been doing it. So guess what I've done? I've took it to the people.
You have. You've been on the front lines.
I took it to the people. It belongs to them. It's their birthright. This ain't no damn club.
But no, yeah. So that's crazy.
Why some of them are upset with me, because this is the other deal, Pharaoh. Because once you make people erudite, meaning that the things that I'm saying to you now, right behind you already see that Black's Law Dictionary, right?
Absolutely, I know.
You see Oxford's, right? You see the American Heritage Dictionary with etymology in it.
That's right.
You see Webster's 1828. I could take anyone and take what Drew Ali presented to us and go do research and show them that these are established facts that have been held back from us. Why aren't these people who keep claiming they love our people teaching them the truth about what happened to them? Just because it's out of the box of the narrative that we've been taught. Well, guess what? It's outside of the box of the narrative.
It is, but it's a fact. So
and I don't run from the facts. So when I go out and talk to the people, I don't try to hide things. I don't try to have some image. As a matter of fact, most times you see me when I'm traveling, I even stop wearing my vest because I didn't have no peace. I go to the airport, people from other countries want to take pictures and stuff, and so I deliberately.
Most of the time you run around with you got a regular hat with a button. Most of the time,
I dress down, that's my flag.
Yeah, with the flag. That's right.
Applying my colors according to international law.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but the deal of it is, I don't want the attention. I want to get the work done.
Well,
I
I'm gonna
don't
tell
want the image. I want to get the work done.
well, on that same situation the brother had, he had a couple, a brother and sister that claimed that they were traveling the state on the behalf of the organization. You specifically yours. And what it was talking about the counselor, what is it called? The
No, now, all right, listen.
check,
I'm gonna give you a point of reference. I'm gonna give you a point of
yeah.
reference. For years, for over 30 years, I've been promoting. I used to do, even in New York and different areas, we would do mock courts to get our people used to challenging jurisdiction of the court, teaching them about mandamus, writ of averment of jurisdiction, the writ of quo warranto, the fundamental things that they should be using, as opposed to arguing stupid arguments of racism and stuff that gets them nowhere, only gets them in contempt.
yes,
If you get the whole point.
absolutely.
Now, and logically, it starts messing up the system. So you get a lot of pushback, but that's the law. The law is the law. Just because they're unlawful don't mean you be unlawful. You get the point?
Mm-hmm.
And it became apparent to me in short order that many of these people, including the critics, and I ain't mad at them because they just following a party line, if you get the whole point. Just like people who say they Democrat or Republican, they don't think for themselves. They follow a party line.
That's real.
I'm not that one. I'm not against people who are closed-minded, but I'm not guided by people who are closed-minded. Are we clear?
Absolutely.
In other
But
words,
you set that agenda for years, so you set the tone for that.
people who talk shit but don't rock the boat. My position is they have a right to do that. I'm the one that put a hole in the damn boat.
So let me get a clarification, because I specifically want to talk about this incident, because the storyline was that the brother and sister was traveling across country, nationalizing people, going through the process.
Who's
And
that? Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go
it
ahead.
was on the Taharka Bay Moore's World News situation.
Yeah.
And the brother was pulled over and gave them the ID, and the police basically took them into custody and was like, the plates wasn't real, the ID wasn't backed by that.
Now,
and he named them he called them a stateless and lawless people.
Yeah, now,
Please.
and I understand that dynamics.
Tour, yeah.
And the real deal of it is, it's called protocols of order. Now, I'll also give you a lot of stare decisis, and I won't even argue against what was said. I will give you stare decisis, and then, matter of fact, you'll be able to do a show yourself and counter what was said. See, this is what they do. Because our people are waking up and starting to exercise rights that actually belong to them, they would accuse our people of being wrong rather than accuse the private commercial mercenaries of operating under color of authority to suppress our people, because now it's affecting their insurance industry and it's affecting their bond system, because all certificates of titles of cars were put on the bond system since 1933. The people don't own their cars. This is what they're operating on when they stop people's vehicles. Are we clear? Why don't they talk about that? Why? Because most of them are sellouts to the system. So they talk trash, like if you exercise a right, you're going to get in trouble. Our position is, it's going to take brave men and women to stand up for the rights, because they're not going to be given back to you. You have to reclaim them. But you also have to know them, not legally, but lawfully.
Lawfully, that's right.
A few have the courage to stand up and exercise those rights. Most of them back down, unless it's a brother or sister who stepped on their shoes at a club. Then they're ready to shoot them. I'm telling you, these people are punks, and they don't like me because I'm honest about it. Do you understand?
Absolutely. I my energy vibe. I vibe on energy. You're a very sincere, passionate brother. I appreciate you. I think you're genuine, and I know that you move. You move on a different beat. a different drum than the traditional people. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay, because we're supposed to think outside of the box. We're supposed to color outside the lines, you know.
And you know what, Pharaoh, it's like this, and I want to make myself very, very clear.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't try to be outside the box to be different. I be outside the box when I discover a lie or deceit, and then I no longer practice it along with club members. It doesn't mean I'm rejecting them. I reject falsehood. I reject misrepresentation.
Uh-huh.
I reject lies and false history.
Yes.
I reject reconstructed history. And I support truth, even if it comes from an enemy.
Real, you're loyal to the truth and committed to the reality and the mission. And that's official. That's rare. It's rare and in between, far and in between to find. So let me ask you this now, because now we're talking about this mission that we on. We're talking about the freedom of our people, you know, and the claiming of our rights. So now when we spoke.
Now let's hold like this for the people, for the audience. To claim a right, you must know what that right is.
Mm-hmm.
In operations of government, a right not known and not claimed is considered abandoned. This is where the term you hear, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. That's where that term comes from. That's a reality. That's not a mere opinion of somebody that's racist. That is the rule.
Wow.
The deal of it is anyone who is not competent of self is held as ward. Ward is a modern legal term demonstrating a being, even if they're older, that has the mentality of a minor, and therefore they're classified as minority. It does not mean African numbers of small numbers of African people in America. It means incompetent persons that may be what you call of adult age, but are mentally deficient. And our people keep throwing it around like it's some badge of African honor, knowing damn well it's a legal status, not opinion. It's a legal status. Let me give you something, which you already know, but this is just for the audience as an example.
Just give it up. Let's go.
You know how people always talking like they talking trash, you know, like they're being so deep because they talking against the man. They talking against the system. No, don't talk against the system. Start using your brains to beat the system. And if you ain't trying to undo colonialism, don't sit around and complain about it. And this goes for a lot of the so-called trolls. They talk shit but do nothing.
Yeah, the armchair revolutionaries.
No, they will not get out on them. They won't get in the mud with the people to help the people.
That's real.
What they always try to do, get them come part of the club and pay dues.
And sit on the side.
Another word for taxes.
So
no service. And then throw a prayer here and there, and you're supposed to feel good while your children are dying younger and younger. Your families are falling apart. IRS taking all your shit. And you talking Afrocentric. Please, not me. I'm not.
It's not the time for that. This is a different. See, this is a shift in
the
paradigm.
Time for that. That's my point.
I understand, but the world, most of the people have to catch up to brothers like yourself. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us were stuck in the matrix.
This is the deal. And this is what I recognize, Pharaoh. And this is why we start doing the flash drive.
Yes.
Because the flash drive is synopsis information that's gathered over the years, much of which is the controversial information that many people who know this information will hold to themselves, and others who are Masons will not tell. And logically, the hybrid European ain't going to talk about it publicly because he's a colonist, if you get the whole point.
Yeah.
And then this is the other problem. When you start teaching the people facts, what happens is you shake their world because now they're uncomfortable. They got to start taking responsibility. And they've been trained to hide from responsibility with a prayer or a march. Do you understand?
Listen, that's heavy because we were taught that the route to becoming a deity is the ability to respond. Responsibility means the ability to respond. And the colonizers have been teaching us the science of scapegoatism, which is basically always projecting that
Exactly.
responsibility on someone else instead of taking it yourself.
Waiting
and that's
for
why we've been
someone
losing. That's
to
right.
start a program rather than getting up off your ass and rocking the boat.
That's real. That's real.
You know,
That's
everything they would say was like this. And this is just like TARIK and them would say, oh, Taji guy was teaching these people law and they ain't supposed to know that stuff because now the master going to get mad. That's basically what they're saying. Don't make the master mad.
Yeah.
You know, and all they do, many of them, not all of them, is say Noble Drawley every 5 minutes just to sound like they've done something and then say a prayer and our people are suffering and the IRS has been taking all their stuff. They don't own crap.
Nothing.
They get profiled, but they national. No, they're full of shit.
So the first of all, I love the fire. I love the fire, the passion, and the sincerity. Like we had this conversation about with you and the brother Emperor Khufu. Having this conversation and building online. So I want to know if it's okay if I could send him the link.
Always.
So that we could, because we want to unify. We want to
already talk. Now let me say this to you. I want to say this to you.
Go ahead, God.
The problem that we have, and I want you to make note on this and put it to the test.
Go ahead.
Number one, most of our people never had an Edamon degree, so they can't read even though they read words.
Go ahead. I understand. Explain what Edamon is.
An Edamon is what is to words, to language, what atom is to building blocks. It is the rule of erudition that is used all over the world by all scholars to research time periods and other scholars from different periods. An Edamon is the root, the origin, the true meaning, and the morphology of words. This is why our people can't read contracts. This is why our people keep getting their mortgages.
It comes from the same root as etymology.
Etymology, yes. Etymology is the science. Edamon is the singular word.
Got you.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Now, they know that most of our people have been hindered or handicapped from childhood because this is why they've always boasted and said, if you want to hide something from a monkey, and the word for monkey is negro yavira arebo, in common language it would be called nigger. If you want to hide something from a monkey, just put it in a book.
That's what they say.
Because they can't read.
Wow.
Now, why are they saying that? Because they knew from the skull and bones and Knights of Columbus and Rockefeller and Frederick T. Gates of 1902, after they murdered Winona in Philly, they set up the General Education Board, and they even make it public that they're going to dumb these people down. The philosophy page, people can go on their phones right now who keep talking about they care about the children, and they never even read the philosophy page of the General Education Board, where they tell them they're going to dumb their children down. Then they go around and marching and praying we want our children, and Johnny can't read. They write all kind of Negro books. And the reality is, rather than teach them etymology so they can understand that they've been taught deliberately under animal husbandry and connotative linguistics with social engineering. It's not an attitude. What I just said is exactly the scientific engineering that is used. It's called connotative linguistics and animal husbandry, which people of so-called color have been trained under since 1902. Now, why don't they stop talking racism and go ahead and teach the children etymology?
Because they don't want our children to learn.
Exactly.
That's all. They don't want our
I'm
children to
talking about
break the
so-called
mold.
scholars. I'm
That's
talking
right.
about I ain't talking about the hybrid
But
Europeans.
most of our scholars are programmed also. They part of the social engineering program.
That's why we keep going in circles.
Absolutely.
I said we look the part and do the fart.
Look the part, do the fart.
Yeah, and it goes on. And no one, and because we have egos, if you really pay attention, a lot of times when our people, rather than present information and research, they want to debate.
Yes.
And when they want to debate, what they coming up with their opinions.
Yes.
With a little bit of facts, most of them, and even the facts are limited, and it's something they heard from some other brother said in the club.
I agree.
Now,
so you had, I know you just talked about the education system. I thought about Isabert. It was, I think her name is Elizabeth Isabert. She was the Secretary of Education under Ronald Reagan, and she had a book called The Dumbing Down of America, and was basically writing in how this world that we live in now was coming about back in the 80s, and that it was set forth a plan to make America a population of workers for the international.
Let's back up again. Let's back up again. As a matter of fact, while we're talking, go on your phone while we're talking. And go General Education Board, John D. Rockefeller, 1902. And while I'm talking, read it. And this is public information. Goes to show you not only are our so-called scholars not teaching their own people, they're pretending they don't know this. But see, if they can't play victim, they can't collect these fundraisers, can they?
That money, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So John D. Rockefeller. So we have
and read the philosophy page. Scroll down to the philosophy page. As a matter of fact, share it with people.
Say the whole thing again.
John D. Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Frederick T. Gates. General Education Board, 1902. Philosophy page.
The brother is here. To philosophy page.
And guess what, Pharaoh?
I'm listening.
The way we're talking, see, this is what upsets them. Because they'll show me saying, salami, bologna, oh, bless this house, oh, Lord, we pray. I'm not the one. And when you don't do that like that, and everybody's humming peanut butter sandwich, humming, and you ain't lockstep, they think you're against them. It's not true. I'm trying to liberate.
I understand, bro. I'm talking. You talking that talk, and that's why we here, God. That's why I wanted the people to be exposed. You have generations of people that's coming that haven't been exposed to you, that haven't, so they see the brothers that's out there, but you wanted the brothers from the root.
Let's go like this. And honest, if our people were honest, right? Yeah. And I'm talking to all the so-called leaders, grand sheiks, assistant grand sheiks, and all the rest of them with these titles. If they were really honest, they would stop saying that I'm creating trouble for telling the truth. They would teach the truth themselves and start liberating our people, knowing that everybody will be uncomfortable for a while because they're going to have to shed a lot of things that they believe. They're going to have to shed a lot of things that they emotionally feel. They're going to have to get rid of a lot of their club members, and they're going to start having to really fix stuff and not, bust my window, wintertime coming, the wind blowing, and everybody's going in a circle praying. No, you better get somebody that know how to fix a window, put that damn window in, and everybody can sit down and drink some tea.
I understand. Well, on that note, I want to introduce Ade Loye.
Good brother.
I want to introduce Ade Loye. Loye. I wanted to get these powerful entities, as nature is incarnating in the physical flesh. I wanted to make the unification and to build the conversation to reach a destination, because we have a date with destiny, and that's what it's about. When I got these brothers, these elder brothers, my elders, fiery brothers that have put this work in, in the dark and in the light, to bring our people to chart a course, a trajectory to renew our people and our position in a global, this global economic, global geopolitical storm where they trying to leave us as the footstool,
Not
taking
on the
our stuff.
footstool. This is the plan:
Go
to
ahead.
liquidate the people's estates and then to genocide them out. That's the plan. The issue is to counter it. We cannot counter it by just complaining about it. We must, and we'll never capture the straw man. It will not be allowed. However, you can choke it wherever it sits.
Okay, so now, what do we have to do? Ibra Kufu, welcome to the show. I appreciate Brand SHEIK.
Come on, Gabriel, again.
Assalamu magic.
So like a magic.
Man, it's been years, brother Grand Sheik. Well,
Yes.
I tried to get with you back in 205.
Yes.
Nature Base supposed to be hooking me and you up.
Right on, brother.
I came out of Charlotte territory with Amir.
Ah,
I know. We ain't gotta go there.
you know,
Go ahead.
and let me and this is more because you all already know this, but because we have so many people listening, and particularly
Yes.
with the youth,
Yes.
because it will send them on a. See, my position has always been this, brother Pharaoh. Most of our younger lives, we find ourselves getting in different organizations and being followers or believers. Then you start looking at patterns and you start recognizing the generations are becoming less and less knowledgeable and more emotional and more destroyed and more disheveled. By me being, by doing body work, as an example, cars, I've worked with cars. By me being a barber, so I'm dealing with hair follicles, bone structures, basically a doctor's degree. And by dealing, sewing clothes, I made clothes, even some for my children, so, and then by me also being a general contractor, I do anything concerning a house, whether it's electric, plumbing, concrete, design, altering, custom book case, doesn't matter. You give me time and give me the materials and leave me alone, and I'll bring you back to a palace, if you get the point.
I seen that beautiful kitchen.
I got something better than that for you. I got a position that's titled the Imperial Chancellor. Okay? And it has its own state. It has full faith and credit, acknowledged by all the states, acknowledged by the United States. I'm the active state is a cruise ship, not a speedboat. Barack spoke of.
Right.
All right. So now I have systematized the ship. All right, and constitutionalized. Okay. The ship is at 0005 knots right now. All right. So that position as the Imperial Chancellor has more authority than the President of the United States.
Absolutely.
So that's an oath of office.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's why I've been hollering at you for the last 6 months. I know you had to hear me, because to sit in that position, hearing that fire you had from the beginning of this show, to me it was an interview. And I'm like, well, you got the job, because it's your job. Only thing we gotta do, Taj, is we just gotta change the cell a little bit. That's all we're gonna do, is change the cell a little bit, and then we can shake everything you need. We already got it. They number one state, and I got that. Okay, so I had to descend down from my sovereign seat, Crown Prince, and to come down as the interim chancellor to help to move the ship. Okay?
Yes.
So that position is one of the most, if not the powerful position on land. Colin Powell signed me in, brother. See, when I came through the Great Seal, I wanted to talk to you because we were just beginning the ship.
Yes.
And we knew that Chief Black Eagle was sitting on the seat because we made him the chief. So, but he couldn't move the ship for 10 years. Okay. So in the meantime, I got nationalized by the Crown Prince of the United Washita de Monument, who inherited the Empress authority. He nationalized me May 9, 2003 as Chief Maiku. Okay, so then when I signed the government third signature on the embassy government on June 20th, 2003, they signed in as sovereign. They didn't know yet, but they signed in as sovereign. So that's how I got through the system.
Yeah.
And only one can get through. So I done shut the whole course down. They can't touch us.
Yeah.
We consider we are foreign national owned country. That's according to the Bar Association.
Yes.
On the Vatican's, we are what they call American state citizens.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm the one that sent him the Constitution in 13 that made him write the vote to appropriate.
Oh yeah, of 2013.
I'm the one that sent him the Constitution.
Yeah. And
okay,
then they breached motu proprio, and then he did the letter of civil orders to Obama, 2014.
That's right. That's who we talk. That's who I deal with now, General Ham, because he's the liaison. I love our story, and we have our own Imhotep University, so we got to make sure we dock it. Okay, so it's outside of everybody's venue. They can't touch it. We completely outside everybody's venue.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said I see the fire you got. I didn't know you had that fire. Well,
ready to go. He ready to go.
so when you research this seat, it has been developed about 50%. So that gives you the room to come in and make that office. We got the whole structure. You got the whole executive council. Okay, you got the Imperial Deputy Chancellor, you got the Imperial Micro Financial Officer, and we got the Imperial Secretariat. Okay, and the reason why I gave the Imperial Secretariat authority under the oath of office is because of what's happened to our sisters throughout the years. So now they can take oath of office as a secretariat and run their state. So we got our state. So we have a sovereign state. I'm the one why King Muhammad VI raised the flag July the 15th in Philadelphia. I sent out an imperial order to him, the Pope, and everybody June 14th, and told them that I will be emerging our state in 30 days, which make it July the 14th. And
and that's beautiful. And this is back to the point. If people understood even the principles of the birthright sovereignty that you speak of, if they comprehended that, they would understand why they're countering Trump now while he's trying to restore the republic.
Well, you know, he got that but see, you got to understand now. See, I sent the declaration that's online. I sent that to Obama. Okay, you know, thank him for the full, you know, the cruise ship, speedboat, acknowledging me and everything. All right, so when I sent it to him, the post office sent it to Miami.
Yeah, which they always do.
Yeah, so Trump got it Monday when Barack supposed to got it that Thursday. He knew exactly that. See, we got signed in under George Bush Jr. So when Barack came in, that's what I had to say is a cruise ship, not a speedboat. That's why Morocco had it. That's why Morocco had to come over here and check, because now you got foreign nationals in your own country that's under the treaty now. We actually you got the treaty. You using it. That's why Trump made Obama. I'm gonna say King Mohammed VI the chief commander last December 24. Because the vizier chair of the Moors, the presidency can't touch it no more. Everything is under King Mohammed now, because Trump made him the chief commander, and and King Mohammed made Trump after the order of Muhammad. That happened December 24. It's exactly 100 days after I sent the imperial diplomatic mission out. Okay, and that went out to almost 80 countries. So then you see, I'm moving behind the scene. That's why they say, I got the best kept.
Now, and this has always been my position.
Okay, come on.
And then take this in consideration, Emperor. I know that most of our people, particularly the youth, the real knowledge of the land, the estate, and the divine sovereignty of the Moors, which has been breached under Constitution and treaty
We got it back.
is not known to them, and they have been subjected to this misdirection of race argument rather than the restoration of the estate,
Okay.
which is the basis of what you're operating on.
That's right.
My position has always been to make the general public know about it, even if they don't get involved, so they can no longer make excuses like they don't know this.
Well, at this level of the game, it doesn't matter what they think.
Of course,
we have our own state. So
yeah, but I'm explaining my position. I'm explaining my position.
Okay,
this is for people in general.
Okay, come on.
I have 3 different titles. 2 of them I don't even use. Right? Because the titles aren't important to me. The battle is. I've always felt that so many of our people have been cheated because so many of our people who gain the knowledge seek a throne for themselves and then talk about the people need to know this, but they don't take it to them, if you get the point. And so our people out here suffering don't even know they're walking on their own land. Right. Don't know that these mounds are ours.
That's right.
That's right. That's real.
Don't even know that the governance structure came from us.
That's right.
That we were overthrown. And you have to be competently in the state of mind. As an example, one of the major problems, as an example that we would have, just like here you're dealing with knowledge and solution and remedy based on fact, not based on belief, based on fact. And then they allow people to sit around and troll or disrespect only for a lack of knowledge when you're actually working for them, and they don't recognize it because they're in these belief systems run by these club members that got them marching around the place. One of these days, keep hope alive. Let's make them think we're somebody. And in secret, all of them got a fez. Their lodges got Moorish names. They know we're the mound builders. They know the land is Morocco, and they're playing these games. And then what's happening, meanwhile, the next generation is being sacrificed because the world don't wait on us while we keep playing these black Negro games.
That's a fact.
That's exactly what I told
you. And then when someone comes to bring real knowledge, they have their trolls out there trying to knock it. And because they don't have facts, they're looking at it as somebody's belief or somebody's opinion when it has nothing to do with either of them.
Right, that's right.
And
that's why that system that's been set up where they infiltrate. See, they can't infiltrate us.
Yes.
You see, because once you cross that border and nationalize with us and commit treason against the Constitution, well, that's death by a firing squad.
This is what I was telling Don Farrell earlier.
That's right.
You know, and you know, once you know that the leaders, all these people, doesn't matter whether they say they're Christian, Muslim, or Jew, you know, among the leadership, this fundamental knowledge that you're speaking right now, they are aware of.
Oh, yeah.
They won't go there. They will not go there. Number one, it would immediately destroy their little club organizations. Their hand is out of the pockets of the people. They can't play victim no more. They got to start taking responsibility, and they got to start telling the truth. And now they're going to get that pushback too. They don't want that pushback, and that's what's been going on. And so when you start speaking anything in what you call absolute positive jurisprudence, which you're speaking of now, and the restoration or what is known as reversion of a state by right law, they want to try to act like that's your opinion, as opposed to that is the established fact even before they were born. They just weren't told. And then they keep telling people that we're talking opinion. We're not going along with the program. We're not inside the box. You know, we're out of the Kellogg's, cornflake box. You know, therefore we're out of order, when the fact of the matter is that they're playing it safe. And by playing it safe, they're sacrificing the next generation. So my position has always been this. I will go around the country and I talk to people outside this country. I'm going to tell the truth whether they like it or not. What they do with it is on them, but I'm not hiding it. But I also know when they set up the Treasury bonds in 1861 and start blocking out congressional records, particularly around 1863, 1864, and modifying the records. And then they did those meetings down there at Carpenter's Hall with Oddfellow, down there a couple blocks down from Independence Hall, and start altering the records. And our people don't even know they're on their own land. They don't even know that statue that Rocky runs past is the statue with the assassination of Winona. That Tammany is right there at the 76 as you go down to Market Street, right in their face with a kilo on his shoulder, and these people trying to go somewhere else, and they're standing on their own land, and is known by all of these marching, praying leader guys. But just because they don't want to admit that we are the mound builders, they called us Indians because we're Naga and Dravid, but we are the Moors, heirs of the world's largest estate.
That's right.
We're not poor.
Now, Grand Sheikh, now we got full faith and credit.
Talk about that. Explain that to the people, please.
So now we got full faith and credit. Not just from Georgia. We got it from Virginia. We got it from Maryland. We got it from Delaware. We got it from Pennsylvania. And we got it from New Jersey. So we got 5 states to authenticate Georgia certificate. So how we got number 1, Todd, is when we carried the apostille up to D.C. to get it authenticated. Colin Powell asked the assistant secretary of state to go check and see if the government was on record. And I was fighting the post office at the time through my state because they said they accepted my state and said, long as the corporation that they hired come to work and do, abide by the rules and regulations, we good. Okay, so I know how to go hit the clock, but they accepted my state in 2003. The post office did. So that was the post office trying to shut us down for 10 years because they were trying to get off their contract. So when Colin Powell checked the record, they said Khufu Ranu Zudat Samsonel Thunderfire is on record as the deputy consul of his state. And that's how we got apostille number 1. ISIS, that group named ISIS, you heard of? See, they got apostille number 2. That boy you heard about Shawwell and all them cats, that's apostille number 2. So everything they do, they got to let the State Department know. Everything we do, we outside of the State Department. We outside of the president. We outside of the Supreme Court. We outside of the legislature.
And this is back to what I was saying to Pharaoh, that when you really comprehend what we're supposed to be doing, we're supposed to be operating outside of their jurisdiction.
That's a fact.
We give them notice. We don't apply for shit. We give them notice.
I understand that.
So like with the young cats that you're speaking of, see, under your state, you got the whole state. It's organic. It's gonna go bigger and bigger. So our children don't have to worry about their future because they're gonna go to their own university and then they're gonna work for their own state. They never have to step outside their state.
That's right.
You got your own bank, you got your own insurance, you got your everything. Because see, the way the contract is that all of these states has invisible lines on our property.
Yes.
So we operate anywhere we need to operate because it's on our property. Only person we deal with is the governor, okay, or the diplomatic protocol that's set up in that state, or the Secretary of State based on the seal. Okay, we don't deal with their citizens. We just deal with the head honcho. That's our property. That's under diplomatic protocol.
Yes. This is based on what I'm saying to Pharaoh.
Yes.
These fundamentals,
yes,
that you're sharing, must be known by the people at large, so that the people who are really the heirs will stop rebelling against their own government.
I agree.
Not knowing that they're rebelling against their own government.
I agree.
And they're doing it because they don't understand the truth on what has taken place politically.
That's right.
Well, how much further will we be, right? This is another reason why this meeting is happening, is because you haven't army of people that's been walking with you for years, and constantly we have been constantly going to battle and situations with the courts, with the authorities of these colonizers, and now we have a space where we can dock everything that you've been doing.
You know, Pharaoh, what often happens, this is what happens. And the emperor will tell you, this is the truth what happens. A lot of stuff they'll put in mainstream news and in secret, they'll give you a win and don't publish it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, but hold on. But this is the point I'm making to you. People who are close to you, these grand sheiks and other peoples, know about it, and they will follow
the mainstream
counter line of trolling you,
yes,
and acting like you're getting, meaning like like the emperor is telling you fundamental truth of established law, but we had to get back on the platform. The platform was already, meaning the platform of a consular position of a foreign state, national, which they are foreign, but they aren't even national. That's the whole point. They're foreign corporations operating on our estate.
Right.
We kept calling ourselves blacks and Negroes, which took us
outside of
that violation.
That's right.
So you can't.
That was also time there with the 1871 Reconstruction Act. When they did
yeah.
Act 1871, they changed everything to all caps to take you away from the land.
Yes, that's the straw.
That's right.
You know, and see what they won't tell the people is that all corporations or the LLCs created come under the Pope.
That's right.
You know, and see when you can't serve two masters, and then you can't have property or own property or even in law be heritable if you're claiming to be black or Negro, because no such damn people. They're not really the people of the land. Do you understand? Although they're really by blood, they are.
Yeah.
By right of inheritance. So do all research on what you call
declaration.
Look all research on what you call heritability.
That's right.
And what you'll discover is that from an information perspective, they will look at our people out there that don't know as being out of order, while they themselves won't tell them the truth. You know, and the deal of it is, and all of these principles that our people knew and know about right order of government, this is the rule. It's supposed to be in a book. I mean, you don't need to argue with them. It's supposed to be in a book. And it's supposed to be available to the common people. See, it's like this, you know, you can't be a king, you can't be a pharaoh if you ain't got no subjects.
No subjects.
And if they're in what you call emotional and political disagreement with you based on misinformation, you have to inform them, because the colonists ain't going to inform them.
That's right.
And this is where, let's back up some. And this is where I became, that's why in 82, I founded the Round Table. And I started sharing information, although I also was affiliated, you know, with Moorish Science Temple, etc., because I knew that to tell certain truths, they were not going to allow to be done. And I refused to play games while our people suffer and then go to the grave with knowledge when I know people around me had the knowledge and got death oaths and club oaths and finance from the poor with a whole bunch of hopes and prayers that will never be fulfilled.
That's right.
You're going to have to reclaim your lost estate by law, by proper standing. And yes, there will be pushback, but that is the method. Any other thing, you're only playing games with yourself, you're wasting time, and you're sacrificing the next generation.
Well, everything that you're saying
hold on,
go ahead.
So that's why, Todd. That's why they was on the seat that's got tucked. It's over. There ain't no more. There ain't nothing that's coming. So you got your state. So I understand what you're saying on dealing with them at certain levels, but you have your own. judicial administration. So when you dock yourself under your state, it's just like you going to Jamaica and you dock it, and they got to send that birth record contract, everything with it, over to your state. So that's that prepaid account. So however much it is, it's docking in your state now. You don't have nothing else to do with them.
Hold it right here, Emperor. Everybody listening, hear what he just said. Pharaoh, hear what he just said. So your platform of communication, in other words, when he sends a presenter on behalf of the empire to speak to them, that representative is at that time taking what is known as a consular position.
That's right.
And these things must be known by our people. It's not that these things aren't known, Pharaoh, is that people who keep calling themselves leaders won't teach it.
Well, you got to understand too, Taj, that they still operating in the organization camp.
Yeah.
So they can only go. They can only go.
This is back to the fence. This is back to the fence and the box.
Right.
That Pharaoh's talking about.
Even in the Moorish Science Temple, they always go back. They always go back to that corporation, but that's still under the queen.
Here we go. Here we go. Now listen to the emperor, and you understand why them brothers clash with me.
I know. I got you. I got you.
Now, and what he's talking about, they know it.
I mean, because if you really go to the point of it, Drew Ali, honestly, is the fifth Marquis to the Masson Rouge.
Yes.
He's a royal blood. So that's how he was able to establish what he did when he was living, when they cut him down too quick before he could get himself systematized.
Yeah, and that's the great sellout that nobody wants to talk about.
We got to, because I'm the 8th Marquis de Masson Rouge, and if I got to turn over every damn grave, I'm going to find out everything that happened to the 5th Marquis de Masson Rouge.
Yes. Now, and this is the point that I'm saying to you, Pharaoh. See how the emperor's talking? He's talking what is known as natural law. Natural law is generally presented to the public as international law. All of those principles of bloodline, estate, etc., supersedes all other laws or legislative law. These are fundamentals that should be known to our people, not, that guy's a racist because he's got pale skin. And all that stuff is a diversion, is false, is a waste of time, it's destructive, and it makes our people incompetent.
And it makes it look bad on the international arena because there ain't everybody know who the Moors are. And just like UN Secretary General said, and Secretary Red said, but ain't nobody going to recognize you in all these splendid groups. And so when they go out there and get NGOs and try to get contacts with countries and claim to get some type of, but they never give them no money. You notice that? They never get no money from them. They go out there and want to be NGOs and get that little 5 minutes of fame and talk about indigenous and all that, but they don't have they can't step outside of that birth record contract.
They keep putting their ego. They keep putting their ego in front. They want to be models. They keep looking, instead of looking to liberate their people, they keep looking for followers.
That's right.
And they keep trying to make thrones for themselves and be another image that goes in history type stuff. That's the biggest problem. You know,
that's what I did. See, when I got my contract, and what I did was when Dodd dropped the Constitution under the government, okay, he didn't chastise me, so I have free will to create the contract. So I introduced constitutional powers, which made me a constitutional monarch, so that I can delegate my authority down to y'all. So I'm saying, so I'm free. I'll give it to y'all now, so y'all can go move your state. So you got all the delegation of authority you need from the United States and all the other states to run your state.
And people need to know, that the United States is bankrupt. Their offices are dissolved. They're operating de facto because we've been dragging our feet.
That's right. But help me out on this one. I'll tell the other night on the call. I said they sleep. they've been asleep at the wheel too long because they don't allow all of the administration, judicial, legislative, and the executive. All of them is bar attorneys now.
Bars, that's right.
Which is violation of treaty and violation of constitution.
That's right.
They are and never have been to hold any office.
That's right.
This is
They're all members of the Roman Curia of the Circle Church and Chancery from Fleet Street, England.
That's right.
Running all the courts.
This is historic in as far as the unifying the powerful minds that's necessary to lead our people to the necessary to the end all, man. Like the idea, y'all brothers, y'all elders, build it and y'all parallel, y'all literally just echoing each other.
Because
this is the reality.
Pharaoh, and this is what I said to you earlier. I deal with facts, and when you deal with facts, that brings the harmony.
That's it.
We got to get our people to stop approaching this from a belief perspective.
That's right.
They got to stop they got to stop walking around with their religious beliefs like a chip on their shoulder, and get down to the facts of their estate.
But this is the reality too. This is the reality too, Grand Sheikh. The opportunity right now, because you knee high in the foxhole, right? In this war on the front lines, and now with Emperor Khufu and in the state, the venue that has full faith and credit, joining with that literally puts you the force of the state to back everything that you're doing. To now we could go. Like this is like a phenomenal. This is a phenomenal.
But we got to get quiet. You can't go loud.
Yeah, that's true.
Quiet.
That's true.
And just study.
And just do it. Internalize it and become it.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, and this is back to again, just like meaning like see the conversation that the emperor is sharing openly.
Absolutely.
Problem is, all them adepts in the Moorish Science Temple have the same knowledge, but you don't see them talking to, do you? Now you understand the great sellout?
Of course.
And they're mad at people like me and people like him for being open to. It's the people's birthright. This birthright belongs to it don't belong to these offices that we take. It don't belong to these titles. These titles belong to the people.
Right.
So does the information. That's
Absolutely.
my position. And I'm not shutting up just because it makes Taharka and other frauds uncomfortable.
Oh God!
But see, in my case, Todd, they don't even exist to me because they citizens of the Queen.
I know they are.
We have our own state.
But see now, our people who don't know these rules don't know that they're agents for the crown.
Yeah. That's what we got to teach them. This
is what I'm saying to you. We don't have to talk against them. We need to teach the people the rules so they know how to vet anyone, whether us or anyone else, meaning that our people don't know the rules of order. They do not know that the black codes that we've adopted makes our people not descendable. And by default, it gives by default feudal, FOFR, trusteeship to the de facto corporate state operators, which is what they've been using against us. Our own power, our own wealth, our own estate. And then when people come out and talk about it, they act like we got some kind of alien opinion when we're talking the facts. Has nothing to do with us. These facts exist before we were even born. We've been off the platform. That's all. Noble Ali brought us back on the platform and reminded us so that we don't get arrogant that the half has not been told, which means you're going to have to study, like the emperor said. And when you study, you start seeing the other half, which is what he's expressing to you. My position is this. These people are more interested in the titles that they get in these clubs rather than liberating the people. And like they'll have these conversations in private, but not public, which makes them hypocrites.
Well, we here now.
That's
'Cause
why.
this is the
That's why I
day.
told you. That's why I told you, Pharaoh. You gotta control your gates. See,
I
everybody
understand.
can't cross through the gates.
I
So
understand.
you got them invisible Erica Badu want to slide that crack through the gates. And we got to stop it at the gate. And so, it didn't say everybody gonna make the ship.
That's a fact. It
You know
never
what I'm saying?
did.
So,
Many are called, few are chosen.
That's right. So if you look at a cruise ship, that's about what, 5,000 with 2,000 personnel. All right, so that's 9,000 nationals running your own ship, paving your way to work. You got 300 million people in America. That's just who, and you separate from everybody. That's like I told the brother the other night. He said, how can we separate? I said, you ever seen a diplomat?
That was me.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We said
Yeah,
diplomat.
I asked the question.
And what the emperor was saying, this is why, like when the Pope did the motu proprio, right? And then they had all the so-called both political, civic, and religious leaders gather. And they promised, as the note was saying, as the chat was saying, to end the doctrine of discovery. These are the issues that have been affecting our people, and they need to be made aware of it.
Right.
Not racism. They need to be made aware of the doctrine of discovery has been operative, and you've been trained to call it racism and prejudice, which is a diversion argument and makes you incompetent.
That's right.
But nobody wants to rock the boat. However, great to the ancestors that we have been gifted with people like the emperor who have the guts, the nerve, the integrity to step up to the plate with 2 bats, not 1. You understand? So that's what's going to have to be done.
Listen, he completed the mission, which is the most important thing of systematizing the government and getting that full faith and credit so that we can actualize and live in a functioning manner.
This is what happens, and this is what another important factor that I want you to comprehend that I'm keep emphasizing. If we don't bring the family with us, to me, it's a failure.
Well, can I say this?
Listen. I want you to hear this.
Go ahead.
My issue with all the people I've ever dealt with is not to make them followers, to help make them competent to the restoration and the reversion of a state. Go to the law dictionary and look up reversion of a state. Because the deal of it is the mere fact of the operative faith and credit is great. The maintenance and the securing of it for all the people is where I stand.
That's what's up.
And if it's not distributed to the people, I miss my point.
That's why I came to you straightforward.
That's why he wanted you on it.
Imperial Chancellor, you got the whole ship.
And this is the other deal. What people need to understand, July, I think it was June or July of 2019. Now the last major funding that the United States Corporation, members of the Circle Church and Chancery had under their control was the Federal Employees Retirement Fund. The congressmen and the senators stole that. That's why all of a sudden this virus comes up.
I got something else for that virus came
which
up.
Which is a diversion.
I got another theory for that virus coming up too.
We got some updates. I'll give you a breakdown with the master said that the COVID in the Yiddish is the B's become V's, and COVID is the name for craft in the Hebrew. So you talk about COVID. Every time you say the word COVID, you're saying ship, craft. So
you got a ship. Now you got to guide your ship. Okay, so Grand Sheikh, let's look at the president, office of the president, and you look at the whole structure of the United States government. That's exactly where we at right now. We have our own setup though. Okay, so we are Imperial Chancellor. You are Imperial Chancellor. They chancellors out there on the market, but we have the Imperial Chancellor because we have the Imperial Constitution. And we dock our Constitution by the 17th September 1787.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the treaty is. That's what we go see when they let me through
That's the same. That's the same opposition, same position.
That's what I'm saying. So I go back and I pick it up because when they let me through, only an emperor could come and raise his predecessor's flag. So I wouldn't raise the emperor's flag back to the date he stamped the treaties, June 23rd, 1786, because they cut the flag down. So they didn't decommission the flag; they cut it down. So by them cutting it down, and then you know how they controlled Morocco for all them years and broke.
Yeah, that's hidden under the story where they say, George Washington cannot tell a lie, chop down
cherry tree.
Cherry tree. That's the cherry tree, the nickname for our flag.
And now one of the proof stars that's in the proof of my declaration that's online and see my declaration. You spoke a while ago about the presidents. So when the empress went up to DC, Archbishop, her first cousin, went with her, and he got that original copy out of the archive that's under the White House. It shows you the 8th president and George Washington the 9th with all cap name, and it shows you the whole list. He got it out of L. Eastmore.
L. Eastmore, that's right. All 9 presidents before him.
That's right. Now L. Eastmore, Taj, is the Imperial Moorish Yamashee Recording Service now.
I know. Societas Americanos. I know.
That's our recording service now.
I already know.
So
Societas Republicae Societas Americanas. L. Eastmores. I already know.
But also now,
and I'm saying, just like I was saying, what the point I'm making to Pharaoh, it says,
I'm here.
Is that this is known, and when you talk it, they try to act like you outside the box, you are against the movement. No, the deal of it is they've been burying knowledge from our people, and they've been capitalizing on the injury of our people,
and
while in between acting like they are loyal. Nobody did this. They did that, and what they've been doing is in fact being traitors, hiding this information, acting like it's the mere opinion of a couple of guys that are out to lunch, and all of them had this knowledge all the time. And as a matter of fact, even when Malcolm got a little bit of it, and he wouldn't sell out, they murdered him and act like he was disrespectful, when the real deal is he found out about it. And you already know that even when Farrakhan went and got that money from Gaddafi, right? You already know that he came into New Orleans under the Empress because they wasn't going to let him in New York. How come they ain't talking about that? I know it, you know it, and a lot of other people know it. This is what I'm saying to you, Pharaoh. When you think that our people, leader guys, don't know this information, you're sorely mistaken. I know you know better, but I want you to understand and comprehend why a lot of these grand sheiks and other people in the Moorish stuff on the other clubs don't like Taji guy, because I don't play with them.
That's right.
I tell them what it is. Now, y'all can tell the truth, or you can keep this little club and keep sacrificing the next generation and acting like you're so loyal to our people. I know they ain't damn loyal to these people. They're in it for the finance and the revenue stream and getting hits on their sites to get donations. They're not in the business of liberating our people.
But them days is over, Todd.
Of course, I know it is.
Because I come in as the 8th Marquis de Maison Rouge.
But and this is what I say, Emperor. This is what I would say. When people start talking trash, I say, tell me for yourself. Don't even try to prove nothing to me. Say it for yourself. Name the political system, name the religious systems, name the economic system, and name one education system that ain't broke. I'm listening. They all broke. It's all collapsing. So if they don't wake up, what they're going to be is fodder. Because what they ain't going to do.
That's a fact.
You're damn right.
And it's coming quick.
It's coming.
It ain't something 5 years away. It's something going to be kicking off by the end of this year, going in next year.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's why the idea that the Emperor is here with this venue and the idea of and being the ability to get in the ship and get out of, we've always hear, get out of her. But it was like, where are we going? Now,
and this is the truth, Pharaoh. This is back to the principles I've always taught law and civics. People need to know that foreign does not always mean distance. It means jurisdiction.
Right.
That's real. That's
So
real.
that's why we were classified as foreign nationals in our own country. So when
Exactly. And that's why Martin Luther King, after he got that 32-degree signal that he was no longer needed, says, he did that apology and says, looks like I made my people
Integrate, that's right. My people
refugees
is
in their
burning the
own
house.
land.
That's right. That's right.
He said, I've been to the mountaintop. He said, I've seen the promised land. You know, in masonry, that mountaintop is the great seal. They all had that knowledge. He said, I might not get there with you, but we as a people will make it to the promised land because you're standing on it. Dorothy, Wizard of Oz.
That's them contracts they sign privately, and then they try to like you notice when after King met Elijah Muhammad, he started changing his stance on certain things that they were doing in the civil rights movement, and they they took them brothers out, because they were the contracts they signed to. They signed them contracts. And then they get taken out. Everybody remorseful, but them they sign the contracts to sell you out.
And this is back to the point where my position, and what makes me unpopular with a lot of so-called black leader guys is that I know that they're sellout, and they know that I know that they're sellouts, but they know that the people, for the most part, particularly their followers, don't have that knowledge that the emperor is sharing with you. Because that is the proper perspective platform that we all are supposed to be coming from. It's not just him, not just me, not just you. This is supposed to be the state of mind of our people. It is their lost estate, not just mine, not just the emperor, not just you. Right. It is our lost estate.
That's right.
And the deal of it is, if it was a situation where the so-called leadership, these sheiks and everything, it'd be something different if they didn't know this information. They know it. They got death oaths and they got contracts and they're compromised.
Well, the flood is coming, God.
Rather than admit that they're hypocrites and sellouts and in it for the revenue, they attack people who are willing to come out, put their neck on the line, and tell the people the truth.
Well, that's my whole point is that, because see, under the contract that they say they're using, it has Drew Ali on it. Okay, that's property of the Demonson rules. So now they got to so whoever on that contract, I think there were three names on that contract. For them to be able to even use that contract to practice whatever, they got to show their delegation of authority where they got authority to even use it.
Now, Pharaoh, what he just said, their delegation of authority, that's called a quo warranto. And you notice how that they don't talk this to their followers?
Come on, man, you go.
We lost your picture, Pharaoh. You notice that they don't talk this stuff tough to their followers. You know why? Because their followers would immediately unseat most of them as traitors.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
They ain't got no delegation authority to do nothing.
Because, and it's back to this too, because you already understand that the reason we're parallel because we're dealing with facts. That's all. It's facts.
Listen.
The problem is that we can sit here and have these kind of conversations and our people are still in the dark. That's what bothers me. I don't take the position that I'm on the stage. I take the position that I'm in the back room with the people.
You in the trenches. We know you in the trenches. We know that.
That's for the people.
That's why.
I don't need no title.
You ain't got to have the title.
But that's why I don't get into that neither. But under the state, you had to systematize the state.
Yeah, I comprehend that. I understand that. Yeah. I'm not, and I understand that. I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
I'm looking at not just this moment. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the experience of my life, the organizations I've been into, and then because I learned scholarship at a very young age, I know how to research. And which is major reason why I end up leaving most of the organizations, because I knew what some people would say, I knew too much. And then others say I talk too much. But the deal of it is, this information belongs to the people. It's not ours personally. And a lot of people keep thinking because you write books or you write essays or you talk to people in China, you talk to the ambassador in Ecuador, and you talk to other people that got a fan club in Japan, and people write me from Denmark, from Germany, from around the world. They think you're important. I'm not important. The people are important.
That's right.
And everything I do is for the people. For real. I don't need a title. But what offends me is knowing a lot of people I know and have known had this information all the time. Half of them didn't want to give credit to Noble Drew Ali for what he did, and therefore they don't speak of him, or either they misrepresent what he did and take the so-called contracts and get the club funding, club funding, and the Skull and Bones 501c3 funding, and keep our people going in circles, wishing and hoping and praying and marching all over the place on their own damn land, and don't even know they're on their own land.
So that's why I like in some of my, like I told him, I said, what need to happen as you move the ship, the temples need to turn into consulate offices.
You already know. Now, Emperor, this is what I was telling Pharaoh from the beginning. When people read Act 1 of the bylaws, it's obvious that they're consulate offices. They were already set up that way.
Right.
But they didn't. They refused to enforce the law. Not only that, anybody that reads the divine warning by the prophet for the nations knows the whole program that Drew Ali set up. He didn't hold anything back. And all you got to do is read it, and you can see the operations of government. And then they pretend that he only taught religion. They are full of shit, and I'm calling them on it. And they don't like me, and I don't care.
So that's why I put a public notice out. Because I said, do y'all understand what a public notice is? When you put a public notice out like I did, they got 30 days to show their proof.
Exactly.
Or cease to exist.
And that's essentially an offer on the part of a ruling sovereign to give someone a chance to get in order.
Get in line. That's right. That's right. Listen, this is phenomenal.
And guess what? It's like an affidavit of fact. It must be answered.
That's right. It's got to be answered.
Now the deal of it is, and again, and I can't say this enough, because my point is to Brother Pharaoh.
Listen, I'm here. I'm just soaking it all up.
When I start getting the young brothers on the street and the young sisters on the street talking like this, my work is done.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, look, with Khufu got the university, and that's the whole purpose of informing and getting the babies at a young age to know who they are, what the land is, what's theirs, and it be basically groomed.
Also, Pharaoh,
go ahead.
Write this down, land.
Go ahead now.
Now go to your Black's Law Dictionary after you've listened to the Emperor and myself in this conversation, and read land. And on one of your sessions, and I'll be looking forward to it, you just go ahead and do a class on what land is and what people thought it was and find out what it really is. And then go back to what the Emperor said, and you'll see where I'm coming from and why I don't take no BS from none of these Grand Chiefs with these titles pretending they love Drew Ali. Knowing that they don't.
We already know. So this is what I want. This is what I want to solidify. I want to solidify a connection between the brothers that y'all gonna speak. And
what we gotta do is do this again. We gotta do this again. Hold on, we're gonna do this again and bring documentation and share documentation to wake the people up. Not just a conversation.
No, absolutely. Well, that's one thing. The Emperor had 100,000 pages of documentation with seals and for international. He does that every day. If you running,
so tomorrow night, I got an open call.
You doing it tomorrow night? Open call.
It's part 3 for all the Moors to bring their proof to show who's the rightful heir of this throne. We moving this ship. I put a public notice out for Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle because he's property of the state. Put a public notice out for the Empress because she's property of the state and Crown Prince Ramses Bay. And now I put a public notice out for the Moors because the Emperor Muhammad bin Abdullah Al-Khatib is property of our state. So me and King Muhammad, we in agreement. Well, we share that flag now. We share that flag. So the treaty rights that we inherit, we ain't got to do them to go operate them now.
Exactly.
That's it.
Now, and then see what he just said?
Yep.
This is the reason why for 30 years I've been telling the Moors to reactivate consular court in your dealings with them.
We got one already. Look at.
No, I'm just making the point for Pharaoh.
Okay.
Because a lot of so-called conscious Moors have been trolling, acting like I did something wrong when that's the venue of communication on what you call diversity of nationality all over the world.
That's right. See what I told you, Pharaoh? See what happened, Taj, was I want to scratch off for a meal. So Georgia said they accept international ID and passport. So I went in there with my international ID and they checked it and they got furious because they like, just being real with you, this black man, nigga, don't have to pay taxes. So that's when they realized I was outside the system. So they fought me head and toe till I took them. I wrote a just cogent international claim against Georgia, the attorney general, and the head of the lottery, and took them to Tennessee. They came to Tennessee trying to say I was outside my jurisdiction, and the chief judge had to step down because he called a mediation.
Because he really had no jurisdiction in the matter.
But he also accepted my delegation of authority.
He had to.
That's right.
You appointed him at that point in the matter of trust, just for that issue.
That's it.
That's why we got a dock day when our court was established. I don't know if you ever heard of him. You remember you ran across your trial with Tucker Bay, brother Tucker Bay.
Who?
Tucker Bay.
Tucker Bay.
Tucker Bay. You ran across.
Yeah.
Okay. Tucker Bay was former judge in the Army. So he the one who helped me really construct the Constitution where it is now. Well, I'm revising it. But he said what they did was, he said they created the 12th district when he stepped down. He said that's when they opened up communication. So now he said now the Imperial Moorish Yamashite Consular Court, that becomes the 13th district where you can hold trial inside of their court system.
Yes, because you have a right to call because you're superior.
That's right. So the same attorney general they got at the same attorney general now, he was at the head of the appeals court when I sent the mission out last year and told him.
Excuse the interruption, Emperor. This is what must be known, Brother Pharaoh.
I'm listening.
That all so-called officers of the United States, from the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government, are all acting the part.
That's right.
But not in actuality the office.
We hold, because see, according to the United Nations Charter, the United States is operating as an administrative and legal entity.
Yes, administrative. That's why I always tell the Moors, don't never call them administrative clerks, judges. They are not. They are administrative clerks under bankruptcy.
That's right.
Operating under rules of occupation for people who don't know themselves.
They babysitters.
Right.
They've been left in charge.
Right. For minorities, minors.
Yes.
Right. They said now how our state come in now, we come in lawful, legal, and administrative.
Say that again, please.
That we come how our state runs, we got the lawful side, the legal side, and the administrative side. Based on that, I'm still number one. So you lawfully operating your land now. You lawfully doing everything. They can't touch you because you outside the venue, and you got your own court system.
Now, and this is what I'm saying. Also to you, Pharaoh. Now, like 2 weeks ago, right, with Ali Productions, when I spoke at Capitol Heights just a couple weeks ago. So the 3 cars that came to pick me up all had our flags, and all of them had Moorish tags.
Mm-hmm.
And the commercial mercenaries moved out the way as we were coming down the street.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? This is for Taharka and the other club members that keep on lying.
It's a new day. This is a new
No,
paradigm.
Look, this my issue, and I don't want to sound like I'm frustrated because I'm not frustrated, but I cut through the chase. This day that we're talking about now was established when Drew Ali set up the old Canaanite temple in 1913. Since then, you've had traders after traders after traders who have been hiding the information, distorting the information, misrepresenting the information. However, in the last 20 or 30 years, enough people have come to the front and took a position solidly in spite of the ignorance of the people and in spite of the treason among us, which is why we're talking today. However, these things were talked about over 100 years ago, but the people didn't comprehend it because they kept looking at him as a religious figure rather than looking at him as an estate redeemer, which is what he is. He's a man of the law.
He was a demon son Rouge, heir to the damn throne of France.
Yes.
That came with 3 million acres. The Empress was the 6th Marquise.
Yes.
Drew Ali was the 5th.
Yes. And like in 80, what 87, 88, 89, when I was talking to the Empress, right? You know, that's when, remember when they was having people coming down there as stewards during that period of time? And I was talking to the Empress, you know, at that time. And one of the things I always proposed was a lot of frustration that a lot of us experience when we come together and trying to get this information out is trying to convince people, put it in a book and put it out among the people. And she did her book. Remember her book?
But that's not they took some of that information out that book.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Ones, yeah.
Which one? The Return of the Ancient Ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to her earlier. You know, in the mid '80s, I was talking to her. You know, and then she took on her eel. Because before then, she was just Empress Ghosting.
So let me ask you something. So was you around there? Were you around back in '91?
Yes, I was around way before then.
Okay,
91 is when I was elected Emir of the Great Seal.
Okay.
Of Checkup B territory.
Okay. Were you around when they wrote that?
That's when Dumas and all them and Rami and them was all around.
That was y'all some heavy boys back there. That's what. So
yeah.
But I mean, with the Empress, she wrote the University Declaration, International Declaration of Washington Moorish Sovereignty. So I didn't know if you would assist her in that.
No, I talked to her a lot. I talked to her a lot about choice of words, the linguistic is, and to remove connotative linguistic structures, which we have been trained in.
Okay. And
during that time, that's when we started pushing among the people in the late '80s and the early '90s to get at least the 4th edition back. Although you could get other editions, don't waste your time, but get 4, 3, and 2, and 1.
That's right.
And of course, you already know when we were moving the dictionaries at that time, we was getting it for like 20, 30 notes and stuff like that. And now you can't even get one for less than 500.
That's right.
Because they're blocking the people, trying to keep the people dumb. But again, Emperor, and this is and this is for Pharaoh, not so much yourself, for him to comprehend the clashes that I have with so-called other Grand Sheiks of the Moorish Science Temple and why they don't like me. Because I don't play with them. Because the same information they got, but they don't talk it and pretend they love the prophet. They're full of it.
Well, we want to move
people who know, this is the Pharaoh, this is the point. People who know these people know, but the followers and believers don't know they know. Because they talk a different game on them floors and on the platform. They talk that emotional, follow the leader club, hallelujah to you, kumbaya conversation.
Well,
and that's what the people.
Can I ask you a question about that? Taj?
Yes.
Why do they fly the 50-star flag with the yellow fringes in their temples?
That's the compromise. That's the 501c3. Because remember, Drew Ali maintained the Moorish Temple of Science unincorporated. And in 1928, after the infiltration by J. Edgar Hoover on emergency, he adopted that religious affidavit to save the people's property, because under the those two executive orders that Roosevelt set up, they start at that time using the people's birth certificates to back the U.S. corporation debt, and also all of their cars and all their registration and their houses, etc. And he set up their religious affidavit, and he set up that trust for the people to put their stuff in trust to protect their property. And then people start trying to act like it's only a religious organization. But the Moorish Temple of Science was never incorporated. The Moorish Science Temple was incorporated. And this is where you have people, the sellouts come in.
But them flying the yellow French flag, that's military flag.
You already know that's maritime.
Maritime law, that's right.
So Drew Ali for 48 star. He was out.
That wasn't Drew Ali, that was the sellout.
Okay.
This is why people don't talk about the sellout. And people who don't know it, they keep thinking that Drew Ali did some of these things. No, he didn't. He was infiltrated. Then, as a matter of fact, when you do the research, because I went to Chicago and went into microfilm, because I've always done research. I went to Cook County, did microfilm research. That's when they altered the documents from part and parcel, which means by law, parcel of land, to part and parcel, which is an attitude. They altered documents. I'm telling you, it's a sellout, man. And I published that in the paper in 2001. That's another reason they don't like me. I already know the infiltration. See, and like I was telling Pharaoh earlier, I don't go by emotion. I do research. And when you do research and start dealing with facts, your positions change, because you abandon things that are based on emotion or people's biases, clubisms, and schisms, which enter all organizations.
But they three people on that corporation for the Moorish Science Temple outside of Drew Ali.
So of course, you already know, and soon as they incorporate, the compromise is inculcated.
But where have they shown their delegation authority to attach themselves to the other three people on that contract?
Remember, and in 74, remember, the corporate papers dissolved, and I already know the person that went and reincorporated them, the papers, or re-registered the papers, because the corporate termination was in 74, and I'm aware of that too. And all I'm saying, I do research. Because you pretty much know, but I'm really saying for Pharaoh and for the listeners, because some people don't know my position. Some people think that I'm being contrary to some of the other Grand Sheiks to be contrary. I'm not being contrary. My position is to protect the divine and national movement by law, by right order. And I know that is being misrepresented. But I know people who lack information are operating on emotions, who they like, who they follow, all this kind of stuff. They don't even understand that the corporate entities come under the popes of Rome and under the Queen of England. They don't even know what unincorporation is, distinguished from the corporate body. They don't know maritime law from admiralty. They don't know admiralty law from common law. They don't know that common law and natural law are harmonic, because they haven't been taught.
Right.
And my position is that these principles, which are fundamentals, should be taught to the general people, to the general populace, so they can make intelligent choices on who they associate themselves with. And I'm saying to Pharaoh, one of the major reasons why our people are so divided, because they don't know the rules of civilization.
I agree.
I mean, you can go like it's just as simple. You saying you're a black person, African American, don't go read the Christian Black Code.
You're outside of civilization as soon as you agree to that platform.
You know what I'm saying? If you say you're African American, you don't read the Christian Black Codes, you don't know the rules. That's the rules.
There you go.
African American or black. Them the rules. They don't go read the rules. They try to.
You know how our people, our so-called leaders, Pharaoh, have this fun talking about people of color, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is for the listeners. This is law. This is what it really means. Colored. By common usage in America, this term, not identity, this term in such phrases as quote unquote colored persons, quote unquote the colored race, quote unquote colored men, and the like, is used to designate Negroes or persons of African descent, including all persons of mixed blood descended from Negro ancestry. And then it gives you law case. But where a state constitution provided for separate schools for the white and colored races, the term white race was said to be limited to the Caucasian race, and the term colored races to embrace all other races. Then it gives you law reference. Then it says, it has been also held that there is no legal, technical signification to the phrase colored person that the courts are bound judicially to know.
That's right.
So as soon as you say that you're colored in any format, you no longer have standing in any courtroom anywhere on this planet. That's law.
Trick knowledge.
You daggone right. The point that I'm making is that these leaders know this, and they keep on running around talking about, well, our people of color, of melanation, and talking like that, rather than tell the truth that they're Moors and they're people of the land.
They can't tell the truth based on their oath of office they take.
I know that, but I'm just saying to you, I'm talking about, here we are getting ready to go to 2022, and we still got this identity crisis and all these organizations that these people keep funding, and their leadership is compromised as hell. And they always have time to come troll people like me and you. But they all of a sudden they can't tell the truth.
That's right. They just know they come around me, they say he's not touchable. Leave him alone.
But you already know the deal. And the deal
man,
is,
I can't do that.
I'm speaking this for Pharaoh and for the listeners, because I already know y'all already know. But I'm saying to you, it's sort of like if you open up the gate for our people's liberation and they're in the state of the black codes that they're in now, they will not walk through.
That's right.
And that's where I'm upset, because I know it's not their fault. It's because of the so-called Negro black leader.
That's why I told them, Tars, I said, well, people talking about nationality. I said, the nationality is closed. Okay? I can open the gate whenever. I said, y'all can register, get your background check, come into the university, and run your damn ship. Then get yourself nationalized. Well, come and run your damn ship.
You have a knowledge of what you're doing. That's the whole point. Don't go on emotion. Don't go on who you like. Don't go on who has the chandelier distinguished from the light bulb. Go on the facts.
That's right. I just like, it's your ship. It's organic. If you don't like the way it is, we can turn it down.
Even that, they don't even understand the organic from the corporate, because the leaders won't tell them, which hinders them. Again, that's why we come over here in our state and we just teach to run your state, because that's just, you can't be on both sides at one time. Translation, in layman's terms, you can't serve two masters. Thank you very much.
Can't serve two masters.
Thank you. In other words, you can't stand in two different jurisdictions and talk shit. It don't work.
That's right.
This is nation time. Back in the 90s, the master said that, the master, Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, Dr. Malachi Z. York, he said it's nation time. He said,
you know what? And this is back to the point, Pharaoh.
Okay, I'm listening.
Because you know where I'm standing on this. Everybody's talking nationhood and ducking the issue of nationality, which is a contradiction.
That's a fact. It's about the nationality.
Contradiction.
It's about the nationality.
I'm telling you about.
It's like somebody talking. It's like a doctor talking about, yeah, I got all kinds of degrees. Then you talking about, hey man, I got a pimple, and but he don't know nothing about the anatomy of the body, but he got a doctor's title.
That's right. Well, see, that's why I told him, under your state, when you nationalize under your state, you nationalize under your silver on your nationality. That's your equity that you go write off anything you need. So everybody got to have their silver.
and what he's talking about now is Pharaoh, is he's aware that all the funding comes from the Sister QV trusts
That's right.
that they created, that's attached to the World Global Trust, that's been in the control of the Pope. And when he talks about that motu proprio, that's where the Pope relinquished jurisdiction in those matters, and all of the legal fictions, etc., is to be returned to the people without burden, without obligation, without hindrance, without obstruction, without SHEIK.
That's right. But he said until a properly formed and operational republic form of government is established. That's what I got. A republic form of government.
Exactly. According to the established law of the land.
That's right. That's why I say General Hammond just waiting on.
So I put a link for Kufu in there for the CNYE, the Imperial Royal House of CNYE Imperial Government.us. And do you have any links or sites that we want to put in Grand SHEIK in the chat for the people?
Basically, what you're listening to is what you need. And if anybody ain't talking it, why would I link them to it?
Go to the link, the brother Counselor, go to the link for the CNYE. I'm about to put it back up there, and you can get all the paperwork. It's hundreds, it's so much paperwork.
Enforce the Constitution. Enforce the Constitution. That's what Lamont Moorish, and that'll give them some basic principles in treaty principles and treaty consular relations in their nature. And this is where see, this is the deal. If these fundamentals are taught, people will understand what the emperor is saying rather than getting emotional. And then the people become effective. You see, they can't become effective as long as they keep looking at it from an emotional point of view, that someone's talking something in their little order that has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with all of our people.
All of us. All of them. See, Taj, go like this, Taj. See, under the, we got 3 crowns, right? So the one crown, since he raised the flag July 19th, he basically told me he could talk to the absolute. He couldn't talk, he's not talking to the Imperial Constitution or the executive. He can talk to the absolute. So I had to shift the state, like I said, just change the seal just to get, but we have a whole imperial mirror, same authority that comes with imperial chancellor under a whole nother crown. The imperial Moorish Amaraka parentheses, the maxim and parentheses empire. So that's a whole nother state. Then I got the state for the empress, her daughter Wendy, that Crown Prince Ramsey Bey asked me to do, save the land. So she has her own state. And now we have the imperial CYG for the public, which is its own state. So as in 10 years, we should have at least all 3 of these states up running so that we can do business with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't got to do business. We can do business amongst each other.
This is the point of what he's making, Pharaoh. It's work. It's intelligence. It's thought. It's study. This is what our people should be doing rather than sitting around talking about they racist. They don't want to give me a job. They racist. They fire. Our concepts that have been trained, our people have been trained in, which is animal husbandry, must be dissolved and thrown away. They must render unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
That's right. I'm with it.
I agree. I'm like this. The ship can move as fast as y'all want it. It's already selling. You got the authority under them titles to write whatever you want to write off. You just have to get the system set, so get the positions filled, take the delegation of authority, and move the ship.
Because and this is back to the point for all people, Brother Pharaoh, it's our estate.
That's right. That's right.
When I put that 999 cents to you, sovereign gold bond against that 100 million in gold, that shook the whole system. Within 30 days, they came out and said it's high time to go to a gold standard. Within 30 days after they said a bond. So
they got to, because every U.S. Treasury bond that any country bought anywhere around the world, locked up in 5 different vaults inside of other vaults, is dead paper.
That's right. It's all happening.
Dead.
They just waiting on us to move our ship.
They're waiting for the leaders to stop playing and really educate their own people. That's again, I keep reverting back to that because that's the problem.
You right.
Because the power of any sovereign comes from the people.
From the people, and the people
And
have
if
to be
the people
educated.
are raised up, we keep stagnating. That's the issue. You know why I do what I do, Pharaoh. That's why I do what I do. I'm on the hedges and the highways.
I understand. Listen, this is a phenomenal journey that we've been on. And brothers and sisters, listen, I put the link for Emperor Khufu's site, so you could go there and look at all the documents. And then he also has videos on Imperial Royal Embassy on a Facebook page and stuff like that. Yeah, he got the videos, and he got a live tomorrow. Matter of fact,
I got public notices out because the world is waiting on us to move a ship.
Yeah, it's that time.
It's like the attitudes got to go. You got to move the ship now.
Now,
like
see what the Emperor's saying, Pharaoh. What the Emperor's saying right now. That's what the Grand Sheiks of the Moorish Science Temple was put in place to do, and they didn't do it. And no one has opportunity.
We all have opportunity now to do it now because we got the venue and we got this full faith and credit. We have the opportunity to educate the people with the university in order to put people in the right mind state to move the ship and to orchestrate and control the government.
See, the mind state doesn't come until the knowledge comes.
Absolutely.
This is some of the plan I'm looking at. This is some of the plan I'm looking at. Is that they got plenty of universities around here, right? That's for sale. And so to help our people, all we have to do is we're gonna buy 3-4 universities with our full faith and credit, and then we have nationals move on the university, and that's where they live. They outside that system forever. Okay, so they living in the university and growing. They help wean them away from that system so they can work for their own state and get paid through their state. So the amount of job the trash people making 100,000 a year. Just picking up trash is making 100 G's. It's your money. It's your damn estate. You got equity on gold that go back to 1774 that just been sitting. Ain't nobody touched it.
Yeah.
100 million in gold based on that contract.
It's that time.
That's the authority that I delegated down to the Imperial Matriarchal Council, down to the Imperial Chancellor, down to the Imperial Emir, down to the Emir Washdar Mordi Dundamanya, and down to his Imperial Magic Royal Post.
And this one must be known of Pharaoh.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So our people to stop playing this stupid victim game of racism. It's the Moors who funded the United States in the first place, and they owe us.
That's right.
And they're in default.
That's right. Because that's why they're not accepted in the international community. Because they're in default of the bill. They got to pay the bill. And only they said the international court said only the Moor. It didn't say the Moors. The court said only the Moor can come and claim that gold back.
That's right.
And we got it claimed now. So
and they got to fix the world to fix themselves because all of their platforms are collapsing.
That's right.
Absolutely. But as they falling, we now are emerging.
That's right.
Yes, reclaiming the planet, the organic. Owners. That's right. That's right. That's the time. We just have to relearn the natural laws.
Now this is again, and because I'm being redundant. I want you to be very clear why I do what I do and why I don't go along the baseball game that they've been playing.
That's okay. Because that's right. Everybody's been called out. With this sequence, everybody's being called out. It's time. Either you're going to go into the next paradigm or you're going to perish. You all must become the chosen one, or you're going to perish. You won't be able to go into the next level of existence. And that's what we're going through right now. It's a shift.
We're not only talking about dimensional ascension.
It's a dimensional shift that's happening.
Ascension. It's called the ascension.
That's right.
But also a lot of these people now are nervous and upset because some of them in short order, and it may be just a couple of months, if you want to call it that way, won't be able to walk the street. When these people find out how ugly this thing really been, including all your major burger joints. They've been feeding these people their own children.
Oh man, you going to that Rabbi Finkelstein stuff?
No, it's the truth. They've been doing
I
it.
know. I don't eat. I ain't eating. I know.
That's why.
As long as they give them special sauces.
That's why under your state, you got all the land to grow what you need to grow, plant what we need to plant, and everything's on our being jurisdiction.
And we got to start. We got to get started now. It's not a game, man. We literally getting the lifeline thrown to us, and now we got to take advantage of it because many are called, few are chosen.
Hey, you know what? Pharaoh's like this. You know how somebody stole the hot potato? They can hold it and get blisters, or they can drop it. That they're going to have to do any damn way, and this is where they are.
Yes.
Problem is that our people don't know the potato belongs to them.
It's ours, and we got to start. We got to get out.
You remember that brother? You remember that brother that was in Pittsburgh, and they got ready. They tried to stop. He had the flag in his truck. He threw the flag out the car, and they had it on video.
Yeah.
I said, now if the Moors was smart, they'll start walking around like Superman, and they'll just put the flag on because they can never be touched.
Like it's like a Morris flag beach towel.
You can't touch the flag. It's outside their jurisdiction. But the catch is it's under our jurisdiction now. It's not under the Kingdom of Morocco. It's under our jurisdiction now. So
because you're at the empire, not the kingdom. You're at the empire. You're superior.
That's right. So we got to set the standard and the law for the flag.
Thank you.
That's our flag now.
Phenomenal. Listen, sheesh. So I want to what I want to do behind the scenes. We got to keep y'all talking, but we gotta.
That's what I'm saying a while ago. Me and Charles need to talk outside of the public.
Exactly.
So that we can just build and we can just build. So I can really
So we.
You know, the whole concept of the state so that he can get fully understanding of it, because then his knowledge and wisdom would just help close it now. That's just that little piece, because he been there. He know. See,
that's
a
fact. That's a fact. That's a fact.
I can put it definitely.
I have the emails. I have the emails. I have the number. I have the emails with you also. So I definitely would, to exchange the information so that y'all can connect. Yeah. And solidify, this because this is what we needed. Because one thing that they emphasize is keeping us divided and constantly working different angles.
And remember,
thought patterns.
Remember, officially, when they're talking about us, it's called schism operations.
That's right.
Schism, SCH, schism operations. And what our people need to be more aware of is what is done on an official level when they're making reference to us. Do you understand? We need to stop guessing. We need to start knowing what's going on. Stop following and start taking responsibility.
A lot of our people don't want to know the truth, and so they tuck their head in the planet.
Anyone who doesn't want to know the truth is called a slave by tacit acquiescence and are treated like the animals of the field because they're not using basic divine intelligence to solve problems. That's what's happening to them. It's not racism.
That's a fact. But now you have to first, like you said, we have to bring them the information, get them the knowledge, because now once they get the knowledge and they still make the decision to stay in a state of servitude and slave, we can't do nothing with them.
The problem is the hybrid Europeans don't have the resources no more, and what they're going to do is just simply kill them.
Well, they already started that. Yeah, but they still fail to realize
they think they're going to run to Rome because they don't want to take responsibility. Rome's going to make burger meat out of them.
Yeah, but also
international courts now. For some of the listeners, they can do the research, and you will find some familiar names of corporations that are now being sued for selling human meat as burgers, 2 for $5 with a soda.
With a soda, as long as they got special sauce. Yeah,
that's why it's been so cheap. That's why they started abortions, to take the organs and to feed the carcasses back to the people. They've been doing it since the 40s.
We
Yeah, but
definitely.
that's under the order of the zones. That's written in the order of the zones. What they doing with that? That's in the order of the zones. Zionists out of Israel.
Yeah. They listen. We know we dealing with these reptilian, savage,
Hey, our people keep
humanoid.
playing. Don't our people keep on playing that they don't get it? Pharaoh, don't our people keep talking about how spiritual they are? Then they keep pretending they don't know they've been eating their own babies.
Damn.
Yeah, right.
Damn. They don't know it like that. They know it now. God damn it.
No, they know it, but see, nobody wants to bring it up. Nobody wants to rock the boat, Pharaoh. They want to be liked. I don't want to be liked. I want to fix stuff.
Damn.
You know my
Well,
you know what my talents are. My one of my talents is the unwanted one. So ain't nobody so like me.
I just confirm you're doing the right thing. That's what it's about. Give a shout out to my brother Moon out there in Philly. He did a demonstration. He had a screening last night talking about human trafficking and these Mukasu, these Europeans that's been getting away with it, the Epstein situation, and the 75,000 melanated women and girls that are missing that nobody's talking about. But these are just the beginnings of things that's going to keep taking place because we have no defense. Because
what the spiritual corruption is? This is the spiritual corruption. This is the spiritual corruption. In all of the big cities, they've been making little townships out of the hospital complexes, haven't they?
That's right.
And they did the Roe versus Wade to play these women like they care for their bodies and they have a right to their bodies, don't they? Then they built up these complexes where they've been selling them organs from them babies and feeding the carcasses back to these same people that's been talking shit.
Yeah, you talk about Soylent Green. What's that? Soylent Green.
That's what it is. That's what they're telling you. They always tell you what they're going to do to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, under your statehood, okay, you have the authority now because it's on your land, and you can because you are lawyers. Okay, we're not attorney. You're a law. You bring in the law. So now they on your land, so you can bring them to your court and get any damn thing you want from them, any kind of investigation you want on them.
That's why I've been telling people to restore consular venues. Eisenhower shut them down 54 to 56. We must step forward and activate.
This is a phenomenal.
Got to, because everything you got to do.
You froze, Emperor Khufu.
No, they ain't froze. They interrupted. That's what they did.
Absolutely. This is high frequency. This is this is where it's going down now. This is high frequency. Yeah. You're gonna have to come. You're gonna have to leave and come back, God, if you can hear me. Yeah, listen. This is a phenomenal. This is the second time that happened because earlier I told you we had Mr. G, who was Dr. Sabi's videographer and friend. And he wrote a book about his journey with Dr. Sabi. And he was on here earlier. And it froze the same way. It froze with me. I froze. I had to reboot my whole system before I got back.
You were out a couple of times as we're talking.
Yeah, man, it's just that real. It's that real.
But, it's like this, Pharaoh. We're not trying to discredit anyone. It's just that when you tell the truth, you will become unpopular.
It's the time for the truth. Whenever the truth comes, people are always going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
When
they say people always ask for the truth. Then when you bring it, they run.
The truth knock on the door. Nobody want to answer the door. You know what I'm saying? And what Jesus said, he said, when you come with the truth, he said he came to separate mothers from the children and fathers from the children and husbands from wives, because that's what truth does. Once it's stimulated, now you have to make a decision not based on your personal feelings and your misplaced loyalties. Now based on the actual fact and the trajectory of our destiny for the survival and the success of our people. you know, and the reclaiming of the earth. This is the time of separation of the sheep and the goat. This is the time of responsibility versus scapegoatism. This is the time where, you know, the master teacher taught us that we all have to become the chosen one. And if we don't, it's the source of our error and the source of our destruction. We must perish if we don't become the chosen one.
And you know, Noble Drawley used to always say, in harmony with what you just said,
what's that?
Is if nobody else stands up and enforce the law, and if no one else stands up and tells the truth, you be that one.
We have to do it. We have to do it. This is our time. Listen,
truth don't make you popular, because the truth exposes all these corporate organizations that really have been coming under the queen, pretending that they've been serving the people.
That's right.
And they don't want that out.
Facts. That's a fact. Actual fact. And now we have to teach this new generation that they're spooking out and turning into these punk rockers and incarnations of these Nephilims, and we have to get them back in line with their natural order, because they don't have no fear of the system. They don't have no fear of anybody, and they don't have any respect because they're not born in a structure. So now we have to teach them how to take that warrior spirit.
And this is back where you got to teach them knowledge, not emotion.
Absolutely. Actual facts.
That's why in the Imperial Indigenous Marshals, we start at 12 years old. At 12, you're going into the Indigenous Marshals to learn certain aspects about rule of law, how to respect, you know, just how to protect your empire. You know what I'm saying? So that we start that young. Because, you know, once you get past 12, you know, you're in that system, you're gone.
That's heavy. Yeah. Listen, y'all do this research. Ask, seek, and knock. This is the time. We got these elder brothers, and they got the affirmation. We sitting there with the venue, full faith and credit, recognized just like any other sovereign state. We have it. What are we gonna do with it now? It's based on us applying ourselves, getting involved to evolve or dissolve. That's
and
what
it's back to and what is the component that must be focused on? You cannot take an uneducated people and talk liberty. They don't go together.
That's right. That's a fact. And that's what they crippled us on. We suffer for lack of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I'm gonna tell you, in this day, with the abundance of information, now the suffering is because we're not confirming and internalizing the abundance of knowledge that we have. We're just skipping along the surface of it, screenshotting the different doctrines, but we're not internalizing and applying it. And this is the time of application.
And this is back, and I can't emphasize it enough, and it's redundant. I charge the leadership with that because they've been deliberately avoiding teaching the fundamental disciplines of natural law, which is international law, and the principles of national sovereignty and the principles of divine sovereignty, distinguished from national sovereignty, and how it applies in organized governmental platforms.
That's a fact. They definitely been neglecting the people with real knowledge that's going to positively affect our present reality and chart a positive course and trajectory for a positive future. And they are solidifying us as perpetual slaves as long as they're in control as the puppet master. And
this is why Conway
pets for the European.
This is why Kanye West said, and people got mad at him, and he said people are slaves by consent. Because they agree to ignorance. That's really.
No, I agree with the comment as far as in the present day.
No, I'm just telling you, people who didn't understand
of the slavery comment in the past. But definitely because going through the system and being kidnapped in warehouse, I was just talking to my little brother about this. One of the things you realize is that they can't move further inside the case until you sign off. You literally have to consent.
You are the warehouse system. There we go again.
That's a fact. You have to authorize everything.
And then what happens? If you're in propria persona, su juris, su heritus, and you start issuing orders, Most of these people don't know they could dismiss the case themselves.
Mm.
I
That's
did it.
official.
Look, I did it.
Listen, I got burnt out with mine. The lady,
don't-
the judge said she her hands are tied, and I was burnt out. And I was like, I didn't know how to close it. I couldn't close out.
Well,
You know, and it's back to, you know, in general, and because we're talking basic fundamental truths, that's why a lot of what we're saying is redundant.
Sure.
But if the people don't know it, what up? You know, it's sort of like people keep looking for water without a cup. You got to have a cup to put it in.
That's
you know,
real.
and it's sort
I'm
of like
glad you say that. I'm glad you said that like that
Yeah.
too. Because that's how I feel about everything that's been going on. Like you have the knowledge, wisdom, understanding. You've been pushing. You've been on the front lines for years. And I'm like, when I was interacting with Kufu and Kufu is explaining the situation, what he had, and I'm like, oh no, definitely the Grand Sheik should be docked right here. From
the
this
deal is,
man.
once you this is the deal. The same way, once you have information that was held back,
Yes.
even though you may be passionate with your position, you start changing your position because you have understanding of what it is as opposed to an outsider's view.
That's right.
But then you can clearly see where our people have been miseducated. You don't have to guess it. You can be specific.
We've been neglected. Specific.
Yeah, no, we've been played.
Neglected. That's right.
We've been played like a violin with no strings.
That's right. You ain't never lie about that. You ain't never lie.
But see, that's why I had to walk small with a big stick, because you had to stay behind the scenes and make sure you had it systematized, because you had so many agents and trolls, like Tom say, doing their best to stop you. But as you learned that they couldn't stop you no way, they gave you more authority than them. It was the fear that you inherit from the system that you had to wean out to say, okay, so we're not stepping on their feet no more. We stepping on their damn neck. And they don't like being stepped on the neck. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they say we non-touchable. They can't touch us. You know, so you know,
It's just the time.
Just y'all, it's like like I said, if it's gotta get towed down, that's the authority we have to run our state. And nobody can step into our state and tell us what we can and what we can and cannot do. See, so you got teachers coming from Doc, you got teachers coming from Todd, you got teachers coming from the universe. So as who we are, supreme beings, we supposed to take all that and create a culture, create a university, and where we can teach everything to all our nationals, not citizens, our nationals, because everybody, that flag is yours.
That's right.
So whatever you can do in that flag is up to you. That flag is your flag. When you nationalize, that's your damn flag. I give you the authority to go do what you need to do, even if it's intern. Go do what you need to do. Don't make me no different.
Listen, family. Oh my goodness, beloved. This is another bombshell situation. And we need to make sure we're moving forward with this. With this union with the brothers, the houses coming together for the sake of the people, and really our salvation, because this is how they've been controlling us and subjugating us since our birth. You know, and now is the time that we have access to the information and we have access to the venue to operate from, where we don't have to ask for any permission. We don't have to file our stuff to anybody else's jurisdiction. Everything is in the house.
And you
make public notice. You make public notice.
That's right.
With competence, not just confidence. With competence.
Listen. So you do it we're gonna definitely make the connection with the brothers, and in order for y'all to continue this, definitely the conversation on outside of the public venue. But I'm posting again the site for anybody that want to go to see the documents that because I've been on Khufu, the Emperor Khufu's site, and I'm telling you, he has so much. Some people you talk about redundant. He be going back through so many documents. People be like, I seen these ones already. I seen those ones. You gotta do it. because you're giving the evidence. It's the evidence. And we need you to base everything on evidence, experience, and reason. Not emotion, not favoritism, not being biased. What are the actual facts? Let's deal with that and build from there. That's what this is about.
And this is what happens, Pharaoh, in the future. As the people start getting factual, documented information, their emotions, which they resist for a moment, will slowly fade out.
That's true.
With the rising of the knowledge, the courage rises and the fear begins to leave.
That's right. Then
the spirit realm starts reconnecting them, and then the upper light start downloading to their DNA.
That's what it's about. I bear witness to that as actual fact. I'm gonna tell you, even dealing with the Emperor Khufu, I was looking at videos of his before I started the journey. I looked at those 2 interviews with Coach Kair, and I was on a hunt. I was looking for. I was sending the messages everywhere, and then he popped up on my brother's show, and my brother hung up on him. I was like, "Oh, that nigga crazy." Let me get the Emperor.
You know, it was just some fights that, you know, when you've been around a master teacher, and you know, it's just like supporting Taj. When people come behind and do stuff, and you got to stand up, and you know, and you're gonna try to take them down the wrong road. So when you keep hearing stuff about certain things dealing with the master teacher, he's property of another state. So when that court case, and when I went to talk to the chief judge in his court case, he told me directly that he had that blueback apostille we gave him. He said he got to present it in open court. Okay, so that blueback is still in that case, but that blueback is property of another state.
Well, that makes sense.
See, so that's state property. So all the stuff they said they were doing, I said is moot to me, because once you get to a level of diplomacy in the State Department, they're gonna shut it down and say they know, like Tom said, the higher ups know he's
already property of another state. But what they've been doing is trying to circumvent you and get into a relationship with another head of state or sovereign state.
See what that's
claim
called,
him when he's already claimed.
That's what that's called, Pharaoh, is violation of the acts of state.
That's right. Exactly. That's it. That's exactly.
Write that down.
That's a charge. That's why I told them everything you're doing is in violation of your state. But I like the way Todd just said that. Act of state, because that's what I said Obama, an act of state.
So Todd is the Grand Sheik is a walking law dictionary. He speaks legalese on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? You master. I see you with the master contract law. You like once I see how you dissected the brother that them documents that he sent out, and I'm like, this is what we need. These qualities we all need to manifest and internalize, so that's how we speak, that's how we think, because everything's a contract. Invisible, complacent. We doing
it's called written
and unwritten,
oral.
That's right,
and implied.
That's right.
So we must be careful, because the people at large have been trained in what is called, quote unquote, connotative linguistics under animal husbandry.
Yeah, you said that earlier. I said, damn,
yes. And so that must be known so that they can be intelligently conscious of themselves and not allow their ego to get in front of their need and their responsibility to learn basic etymology.
That's right.
And apply it in all of their affairs.
That's why I say we ain't got no followers over here. You got to step up to the plate and run your damn ship. Period.
It's for the gods. And when you say the word sovereign, that is just the legal terminology for deities.
That's what I'm saying. The energy you got to fight them. If you put that energy in your own state, we be selling in December.
That's a fact. That's a
fact. And I told you, everybody gonna be millionaires. I got a 999 sextillion normal gold sovereign bond. You couldn't spend it if you tried. So everybody's millionaires. So that's why I say it's y'all stuff.
We just gotta stop playing and get involved. We gotta stop playing and get involved.
It's their birthright.
It's their birthright. That's what I said.
It's their birthright. See, they keep thinking, from the training that's injured our people, they may look at people who do this work like yourself, me, and other people, and they keep looking at it from the perspective that it's our information. It's their birthright. They're suffering from disassociation.
I just gave you a venue so you can dock it.
That's
so
it.
Now you can dock that birth record contract in your own state.
That's
and
right.
Whatever that contract is worth, only thing y'all got to come up with, not me. Y'all got to give a percentage to your state, and that's going to buy silver, gold, whatever, and the rest of it go to your nominal global bank. That's your account. Ain't got nothing to do with me.
And make it quote unquote public notice.
You got to make public notice. Exactly.
Oh man, listen, y'all. We got 3 hours and 25 minutes. You know how this goes. Tomorrow, you have a is it listed? Your live tomorrow is listed on the site.
Yeah, we had some people, jumped on the YouTube the other night and said they wanted another call. So
yeah, I'm with it. I'm on it. If y'all having it,
I ain't got no problem. Long as, like I said, as long as we move the state, we got to move the ship. All everything, and you pay yourself. This is your state.
It's called super state.
You got equity. You got anything in Unitrail you can write off through your state. You got your own. You see, and if you go look up judicial immunities of states and their property, that's passed by the UN in 2004, and they started it when the emperors got in 1991 or 92 when they did an article. With the article,
and that's why they was doing so much resistance with her, and that's why they kept torturing her, because they didn't want that concept to get out to the people.
That's right. But then they came back in 2004 once we got the full faith and credit and made the articles and signed it in, because now they knew we had a state. We didn't fully understand it, but they knew on the international level that we had that state. So they had to set the norm now. So
because the international level is based in natural law.
Natural law, exactly. So under that declaration, authority to run your state, you got to have your court. Well, they say the court first. I would say the state first, but they said no, the court, the state, which is the imperial chancellor, and your credit. And these are the three norms that you need to run a sovereign state, period. So the first thing is your court. And you are a lawyer of your court. So we got enough nationals around here that can sit in these positions to run your damn state, that know law enough to run your state. And once we put our authority on your position, then nobody can come and tell us that it's not real.
That's right.
Oh man. Anybody got any? Listen,
just like this. If you got a degree from their university, any of their universities, when you nationalize by the United States being our sister country, you can transfer that to your national name.
Yes.
Whatever you got from them.
It's called reversion of a state.
That's right.
Write that down, Pharaoh. Reversion of a state. However, when one does or takes such action, one must be in one's own proper person and must be competent.
That's right.
And descendable. Write those things down.
That's right. Competent and descendable. That's real.
But the sisters need to know that I set it up with an Imperial Indigenous Matriarchal Council, and that oversees the whole empire, the whole kingdom. And there are 31 sisters on there, because we had to get more than the queen got. She got 27 up there in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So we had to get more matriarchal council than she had when she cut our sister down through them over Niagara Falls.
Yeah, because remember this too, Pharaoh, because in African societies, because African societies were in actuality matriarchies.
That's
Even though we're out in front doing the work physical, they're matriarchies. And all judicial chambers must have a circle of mothers.
That's right. So that's why. So when I delegated authority down from the Constitution, I sent it through the Imperial Digital Matriarchal Council. So through their authority, it delegates down to the state. Okay. So this Imperial Digital Matriarchal Council ain't no joke. That's 31 sisters, that's 31 seats.
Yeah,
But that ain't gonna be filled for at least 5 years though, 5-10 years, because they got to grow within the kingdom, their own government, to be able to sit as a council member. That's a lifetime position.
Mm.
I'm just letting the sisters know that I didn't leave them nowhere behind. I put them out front.
And see, this is why we have to teach our people, because they've been trained to respond to their emotions.
That's right.
And call it spirituality. We got to get rid of that.
It don't fit in running a state. So that's why I tell people, I'm not emotional at all. I just got to run a state. I wasn't there. We wasn't there when they went through these schools, so we don't know how convicted they got to what they were learning. Okay, so you got to help. You got to clean that up yourself. We can give you the system to clean it up, but we ain't got time to sit there and nick and pick with you when we got to go here and run the state.
That's a fact.
So you got a university, we can dock you in as long as you need to sit to get that cloud out your head, fine. But we got to run this state 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
That's real. The Emperor's website is on the screen. That's that https CMYE imperialgov.us. Grand Sheikh, do you have a site that I can share with the people for you?
Basically, deal with the house. And there's a few others where I'll send you later.
Okay, so the house on Reawakening Minds?
Yes.
Okay. Let me make sure I got the links and everything.
And then also enforce the Constitution.
What you mean?
That's what Maurice. That's what Lamont. And I'll give you all the details on that a little later.
Okay, I got you.
And these are people who are active, that are giving information. This is the deal, and this is redundant again. Giving them information that they can function with, not emotional support type mentality.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to have to start taking responsibility. Instead of buying $100 sneaks, they're going to start buying $50 sneaks, putting the rest in restoring their libraries. And we'll suggest certain books that they need.
That's real.
You're not going to move forward with a bunch of dummies. It ain't going to happen.
It's a fact.
As you moving this, as that office moving the ship, that office can sign anything it needs to move the state. That authority is being granted to that office to write anything it needs to write to move the state. Okay, so like I said, we got the whole system. You got 14 Michael administration members that sit under the Imperial Chancellor, which is a Michael State, Michael Council, Michael Transportation, Michael Bannister General, all the way down. That's the state. Then you got a council that oversees the executive council, okay, and then you got a Continental Congress that we ain't even talked about yet. So you got a whole government council that you can sit under authority for full faith and credit. Well, they got authority to move their state. And then they work for the executive council, who works for the Imperial Chancellor. That whole system is set up. So you can get the office of the Imperial, office for the Imperial Chancellor. That office can write anything it need to write from its apostolic authority to get anything done.
And this is back to the seat's always been there. We haven't been sitting up.
That's right. Now you got full faith and credit to move it.
It's that time.
That was the difference. Everybody understanding what the apostolic process is in the 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so the one that we got, there's nothing can touch us. So you have to run your state. The judges know they can't touch us. The old system know they can't touch us. They just said we non-touch. They got me through the system, even with my commercial driver license. They got everybody around me in the system, even through their life, even in their corporate system. There's no touch.
That's what we want to be. That's what I want to be.
So that's a lot of authority. That's a lot of authority that's granted. So that's why you got a system, so we don't get these renegades out here trying to take the, not understand the government, just want ID and get out there and just want to.
That's right. That's right.
You know, hustle up down the road. All that. Listen, you can build your own damn hemp farm.
That's right.
You don't need to haul drugs up down the road. Build your own damn hemp farm. You
And
need
that's
speakers.
right.
Go build your own damn factory and make
Man,
your
that's
own.
right. That's right.
You got conscience. That's why. Listen, a state need to create debt. So why ain't nobody want to create no debt?
We ready. That's what you got. You got the matriarch 31 sisters, right? They about to go spend this.
I mean, that's what a state does. It makes debt. You got to create debt. So whatever you need, you got a university. You want to say the university of so and so is for sale now? Well, let's go buy it. Then that way we can stop moving nationals there to train them properly. They can live there. Nobody can tell us what to do. We can turn it into a whole campus so that we can grow whatever, security and everything. They can't touch us. That's why we the best kept secret.
This is what we need, y'all. This is.
Well, that's why I just came out now, because like Todd said a while ago, I didn't come until it was my time. Some people said, why you didn't come 5 years? It was my time. I had to make sure the system, the state was completely systematized before we can move the ship. But we learned from what, you got to have it. You got to move. That's why you had to walk small with a big stick. So once you got constitutional authority, you can't even encroach on the Constitution, or right or liberty.
And he talked about the organic constitutional authority, not the corporate. Yeah,
that's what Nancy said on September 17, 2019. She said we have a constitutional crisis. Because I just said her the Imperial Executive Director. They signed for it on the 16th, 15th, and the 17th. Morocco, Spain, Britain, everybody said. I said everybody. And she came out and said, we have a constitutional crisis. I said, you damn right you got one.
And even like in harmony with the emperor is saying, people, once they understand and comprehend and understand these things, they understand a lot of the politics that's taking place. As for instance, why did they leave Afghanistan abruptly? Guess what? The day before the treaty ran out with England. And the United States Corporation is England.
It's all affected. I'm looking. I learned to look at things like as Emperor Khufu's talk about things, and I'm looking at how it's affecting the geopolitical field. Exactly. I learned to look at things like that by reading the Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And you know what I'm saying? And you see the behind the scenes and what's going on in front and on the camera.
And you see the whole platform is de facto.
I'm trying. It's all.
And that's exactly why I love the position we in, because we're a foreign nation in our own country, and they can't touch us.
And this is the de jure.
Yeah, we de jure.
That's
they
right.
Can't touch us. We ain't worried about nobody. We ain't worried about nobody trying to take us out. They can't touch us. We completely outside of that de facto system. Completely.
It's literally like dropping. Say I'm using one of the other countries that's recognized, even though most of them are de facto also. But it's like literally like dropping China in the middle of the United States. Yeah, and they have their own juries, everything, and they just have to work around them.
Right. Back to the point. Back to the point. Foreign doesn't always mean.
I understand.
It means jurisdiction.
Well,
in personam jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction, and all other categories are all taken in consideration before any action.
That's right.
Well, we spoke about that the other day when the emperor gave me the example of diplomats' role in the United Nations, and you have all these diplomats, all of these sovereigns representing the different governments, and they're invisible. They all have different rules and regulations that they abide under. You understand?
They're called consulate rules.
Right.
And they need treaty enforcement.
Right. So they live a certain life. And that's the life we got. The people say, how we going to live amongst our people? Same way.
Same way.
Right amongst them, but they don't see you.
Well, we can't. Well, we have the unfortunate history of disqualifying ourselves.
Oh, we always do that.
We're sabotaging in the final.
Agreeing to be black and colored.
Right. I I agree.
That's right.
And then by virtue of that, abandoning your estate by tacit acquiescence. And under rules of booty and prize, they've been claiming us as state property.
That's right.
And then bonding us, selling it from 55 Water Street to the rest of the world under bonds and treasury. They're known as U.S. Treasury bonds. Read the motu proprio and read civil orders to Obama from Pope Francis.
Right.
Emperor been saying it for the longest. That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's why I said when I see him one day, even though I said I'm gonna hug him. They said why? I say because the Barr administration told us we were foreign national country. The Vatican came and said we're American state citizens, which made sense now. I said, oh, so he come and showed me exactly how to finish setting up the government. Because he goes out setting the Constitution. So the Constitution had to sit for a year. So March the 27th, 2014, Obama all of a sudden went to see the Pope. So Tucker Bay called me and said, you got one down. I said, what you mean? He said, they said your year is up. See, this is when you recognize. Then April the 3rd is when the Queen went and met the Pope. Then Tucker Bay said, you can come on out now. You're the baddest man on the planet. You got your own damn Constitution.
That's why the quarters in England is closed down for so-called renovation. And that's why there's a fence around Washington, D.C.
That's right.
Shut down. Business is done. Business is done.
Yeah, they got to give you the technique, Black Lives Matter race, nothing from D.C. We got to put fences up.
That's George Soros' operations to divert the attention of the people.
That's all they're doing.
They put our people back into the black codes, making they thinking they're helping them. And it's actually a trap.
It's a trap.
Yep. Yeah.
But Todd, I've been looking for this for a long time, brother. I know I dealt with Amir.
Right on, family.
I fought for you.
We're gonna talk again.
Yeah.
Listen, we're gonna set this up for y'all. Listen, I appreciate everybody that's been part of this call. Everybody that's please do the research, read, ask questions. We're gonna have on the Emperor's website. We have the they have the links for the tomorrow's call, the open call on there also. So listen, this has been a phenomenon. I'm honored to be a part of it and to be used as an instrument for Panathar and the forces of nature to bring to start. Listen, because this is a phenomenal, massive, union that we needed as a people in order to push this thing forward. And I appreciate both of y'all brothers, both of y'all deities for being nobles and able to coming together, because y'all already thinking on the parallel. You literally echoing each other, blow for blow, statement for statement.
You didn't hear Todd say when he was young, he was a warrior. He said he weighed how much you say he weighed?
When I was in the service, 135 before.
see, 135 is my number.
That's your number. That's what you said. That's right.
Now check this out, Todd. And this is the 135th year that Noble Drew been in existence.
Yes.
Right on.
Now this is
phenomenal. So when you said 135 a while ago, I said I knew that's that connection. And then Doc got 135 years. So
Yeah. Synchronicity.
Synchronicity, that's right.
1, 3, 5, 9.
Right. This is what it's about, yo. Listen, I want to say Islam to the people.
Islam.
I want to say Assalamu alaikum magic. And as we say in the Mispati Lahaj, the Sabeg language, we say Rabat Wu Ashuk, which is peace and divine unconditional love to the family. Peace and blessings to the Most High, the balance, omniverses be upon you all. And earshot and eye shot of the gods. And y'all please, take this back, go back through it, internalize this, and let's get involved to evolve or dissolve. Like I say every night, it's our time. And if not now, then when? If not this, then what? And if not us, then who? I want to thank the Emperor Adeloye, and and the Grand Sheik Taj Tariq Bey for this phenomenal presentation of freedom and reality, y'all. It's our time, y'all. The only thing stopping us is us. After this, I don't want to hear nothing. Y'all better stop playing.
How did it sound? How did it sound? Imperial Chancellor Taj Tariq Bey.
Oh, that's here we go. Here we go. I like it. I like it. It sounds good to me. You know, we know how to switch. We know how to switch gears and switch pivots. Oh my goodness. Again, I want to thank y'all all.
Peace.
And peace and blessings, and y'all be safe. And listen, and always remember, we here. And I'm gonna give a shout out and send that love and energy to Chief Black Thunderbird Maku, Black Thunderbird Eagle, Dr. Malachi Z. York. We on our way.
You know, Taj has been dealing with Doc.
I know. We on our way. I know. We building a bunch of times. Like his energy is he usually right down the block. He's usually right down the block. That's why I was saying, like, when you was like, I've been trying to get at with Taj, I was like, oh, now we gonna make that happen. What are you talking about? And blessed Dr. G, Goddess, I appreciate you for helping us and being the transmitter utility that we needed to make this connection, this bridge. And
Dr. G. Appreciate
you. That's right. Peace and blessings. Everybody, y'all have a good night. I'm about to go off, man. I ain't gonna lie. A nigga might cry, okay? I might cry. I see you tomorrow at the next live, all right?
All right,
All right, well, I do peace and blessings, y'all. Y'all be